Hello and welcome to the Official Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 148, the Poncies Game of the Year 2022. With me, George, and as always this week, joined by RGT, Bobby and Seb, winners of the biggest prize to my Wooden Spoon Award. How's it going, gentlemen?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Yeah, really good.
What do you get when you win the wooden spoon?
Literally just a wooden spoon.
Yeah. The wooden spoon is usually associated with bad things, isn't it? Like you get hit with a wooden spoon.
Yeah, that's basically in the show's intros. Everyone
I've been hit by a few of those on my time.
Okay. And I get bad. That's how these things work out. It restores balance, brings me down as a person to the level I should be at. Subhuman.
If I have to get the spoon, can I get it like covered with chocolate at least or something?
That to me is beyond wooden spoon. That's like second, third place award. Wooden spoon said, you deserve the caramel chocolate covered Reese melted spoon. I like deserve dog feces really on mine. So that's probably where I should leave it. Before we get too carried away, the Poncies, everyone's gathered here at Farmerton Methodist Chapel. Everyone's excited. Every year we have the Poncies, as it's been the award's been called. It's a nice looking Oscar copy with some Sharpie on the bottom of it. People slit each other's throats in the gaming industry to get the Game of the Year Poncie, and I don't blame them for that, because on a shelf somewhere this makes a big difference to a game's sales. Now, before we tear deeply into that, it's been a while. We've had Christmas. We've had the Fairy Tale of New York. We've had the Christmas Fireside Chats. Everyone's gathered around. They're like, well, guys, what have you been playing? And we shall start with Bobby.
Don't be disappointed. I didn't play much because work's been really crazy.
Okay.
But on Christmas, I played Cthulhu Saves Christmas. It's like I don't know, like a 16-bit RPG kind of action, turn-based. I'm not a fan of turn-based, but I wanted to get a Christmas game platinum on Christmas. It was my dream, so I had to do it.
Okay.
So I mean, it was all right. It was funny. Apparently, it's the prequel to Cthulhu Saves the World, which I never heard of, but I think it's only on Steam.
Does he save any other religious holidays or just Christmas at the moment?
Just Christmas for now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other Lovecraft enemies in there. Even Krampus is, whatever mythological beast around Christmas around there. So that was pretty good. And then because I was busy, didn't really play. I didn't have time to sit down and play anything really. I decided to put Mad Max in. I already beat the game already a long time ago, but I had it on my 50-inch screen and only on my headphones because when I played it, it was early in the morning. Now I got the 65-inch, got the PS5 going. Oh my God. It's still a very underrated game for me that I wish more people would play it. Because
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's a solid game.
Yeah, I mean, some of the boss battles were just repeats, but other than that, I thought it was pretty decent. And it sounds really good and plays really good. And then I just did some FIFA 3. Whatever the latest one, I don't remember. Whatever the one we just talked about last week, I played that one for a little bit. I did the women's tournament, which apparently it seems to me a lot more arcade-like. I mean, I'm scoring more goals with the women than I am with the men. But they just seem faster to me. That's just my own opinion. I won 20-0. One game.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I was just passing the ball. First of all, Ella Toon. I was just passing it to Russo from Manchester, and it was unbelievable. It was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's really all I played. I did get the Callisto Project for Christmas. And I got Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed.
Your favorite.
Yeah. So I got that, and I had a couple other sales. I bought some stuff. So I have a list I have to start getting down to. But I think this week I'll be able to go because New Year's Eve and all the other nonsense is over. So that's pretty much it from me.
Excellent. Okay. Well, next in line on my screen, Seb. What have you been playing, sir?
I've actually been gaming quite a bit over the break. I played a lot on High on Life. I was able to beat that game. If you like that Rick and Morty type humor, this is definitely a game you should definitely check out. I've been playing some more Vampire Survivors, which is, if you've ever played it and if you haven't, this is probably the most addicting game of 2022. Like, it is very much, once you start, it is like the Pringles of like gaming, to where you cannot stop until you basically get some more. Like, that is that damn good. And then you have the last game I've really been playing, and I really want to shout this out. It's an indie game called Chain of Echoes. It is a kind of turn-based game where they take sort of like the elements of that medieval old school Final Fantasy like turn-based combat, and then they mix it in with some mechs, and they kind of combined all that together, and it is a really cool indie game that kind of like, it's small and it knows what it wants to be, and then it hits hard with that. Like, so if once you like have those like magic moments to where like you're fighting with magic, but you're fighting like this 12-foot mech in front of you, and you still are able to kind of like take on that mech, even though you're just like a regular human. But once you kind of get like some of the upgrades in the game, you're able to take it on mech to mech, almost Transformer style, and it is a very weird and eclectic mix of genres that really works very well.
What formats is that on?
Right. I played it on Xbox Game Pass, but I do believe it is on all major systems, including like Switch at this moment.
Yes.
Is that it, Seb? Is that what all you've been playing?
Yeah, and the rest of it was more just cleanup. I was hunting down the platinum for God of War. I failed in the notion of like going back to The Witcher 3 because I wanted to try the next gen update. It's just with everything I was kind of playing, I kind of didn't get around to it. But I think that's what I'm going to play this week. So that's basically what I've been playing lately.
So, okay, RGT, hit us up with what you've been playing.
Pretty much 2 games I've been playing at the moment. Still on Harvestella. I am over 90 hours into Harvestella at the moment.
Something good needs to happen here. That's getting banned from the show. It's almost getting FIFA like that is.
I'm doing all the side missions and bits, and I keep thinking I've got to get this finished so I can come on the show and say I've finished it. No, I'm chapter 7, so I've still got 3 chapters left. 90 hours in, but loving it, really good. That was handy because I was away for a bit over Christmas, so tapping the Switch and having a bit of a go on there. And also, I've been playing Need for Speed Unbound. Yeah, I won't, as you know, if you listen back to the old shows, I wasn't sure of the art style. Weren't sure the direction. The art style's actually grown on me a bit. It's okay. You don't, when you're racing, you don't really notice too much the art style because you're concentrating on your car. Graphically, pretty game. Playing it on PS5, looks good. Some of the sort of more, how can I put, trees and bushes, that's where you get a bit of popping on there when you're driving through. But nothing major. But actually, yeah, you get nighttime, bit of rain, you get the ray tracing. Looks really good. Looks nice. Game itself, good. I'd say good. It's better than Payback. It's better than Heat. They've sort of taken it back a bit to the PS2 era. Wouldn't say it's a brilliant game, worth a playthrough, and I'd probably recommend getting that on sale. I wouldn't pay full price, but it's worth a play. Yes, that's okay. You get the first week on there, and I can probably see a lot of people quitting it because you don't get a lot of money. You will not be winning races. You will be finishing 6th and 7th and scraping just enough money to try and get an upgrade on that car. The first week is tough as nails. That is properly tough. Once you get over that first week, you start opening it up a bit and you can start improving your car. Story,
mid.
Standard.
Very mid.
Yeah, it's your standard Need for Speed, start from the bottom, work your way up. There's this drama that's happened as there always is, and you've got to work your way back up the ranks. That's your standard Need for Speed stuff. But yeah, that's okay. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm probably about 30 hours in at the moment, I reckon. I think I'm up to week 3 at the moment, so 1 more week left, and that's 4 weeks in total on there. So and then I'll get that finished up. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, mainly Harvestella. But I need to get Harvestella done because I've got loads of games for Christmas. I need to be getting on with them. I got that Live Alive. I've got that to play.
Really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, I managed to pick it up at Christmas and got a load of other games I've got to get to. So I need to get Harvestella done and move on. But yeah, it's pretty much those two, really. The odd game of FIFA. But that's it, really.
You know what's crazy is like I had the same like kind of general assessment about Need for Speed Unbound, but all that said, it is almost a middling game, but it is probably the best Need for Speed game that we've had in 10 years plus.
Definitely,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Like
this, I said nod. They're going in the right direction. I think that's a nod back to the PS2 era, the Undergrounds and that sort of thing. Is it there yet? No, not quite. But it's getting there.
Yeah, I like I like the art style, and it kind of feels different because like a lot of the times they felt like I guess you could say the last couple of iterations, it almost felt like they were trying to lean more towards that Forza Horizon kind of marker and just never could get up that hill.
Yeah, nowhere near. I mean, Heat. You could complete the game and Heat in a few hours, and then it was just this barren emptiness of a place that you just had, signs to smash and drifts to do, and it was quite an empty experience, Heat, and that really sort of put me off Need for Speed. But it's Unbound. It's good. It's definitely better, but is it there yet? No.
Do you think you're going to finish it?
I want to. Yeah, I want to finish it. I think so. I'll give it the credit. I mean, like I said, I weren't sure about the art style at first. I weren't sure about that. Now I've played the game. It's actually well done. They've done the art style well. It does look good.
Best thing I've seen about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Without that art style, it would be a very boring looking driving game.
Yeah, that anime kind of like accents really help.
Yeah, and if they've even changed controls a bit, they've it's a bit controversial. Some people don't like it. They do you tap the L2 button to initiate a drift. So if you're pulling the corner, you tap it and you flip the end out. At first, I didn't like it. Now, I'm quite used to it. I quite like that idea. Something different as well. They're trying different things, which is always a plus. Same with the art style, and yeah, it's worth a play, but yeah, not quite there yet.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, grab your pillows, grab your duvets. It's time. It's story time. Okay. Let's I didn't literally mean okay. He's fast asleep. Someone took in RGT, give him some milk.
He's a shout in a minute, will he, boys?
Okay, let's get the big stuff cleared out. God of War Ragnarok, done. Need to platinum it? Ooh. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Main story in the bin, job done. What do I think about that? I played it in such fits and starts. Probably didn't have the overwhelming connection with it that I should have done. But overall, when the game actually finished, or on the build up to that, yeah, it touched me. I'm going to say I was crying about it, but certainly there was a couple of moments where I was like, oof, yeah, okay, fair enough. One of my slight issues with God of War Ragnarok is the fact that the bosses, they're traditional video game bosses. They've got patterns, they've got routines. You can pretty much see what's going on. A couple of goes, you've worked out the routine that they're going to decimate you with. And then it's just getting that right and getting the moves in time, and you can take them down in no short order. I find trouble in that game with 3 of the higher level guys who put the blue stuff on you. There was a scene at the end of the game when you're storming Asgard, and a guy jumps through the wall riding one of the cat things that you faced several times to this point.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as he came through the wall, I had the routine, boom, 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 separated the guy off by spearing, boom, 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 got him off. Brilliant. Started attacking the cat, started attacking him. Excellent stuff. Then some more appear. And then just as I had 1 pixel of life left, dragon comes along, absolutely decimates this sort of riverbed side. I'm like, I do not know. And I went through that again and again and again and again. And it's these sort of mid to high level, just normal characters that come at you in bunches that I think present the most challenge in the game. The bosses are they can be challenging, but I find these smaller encounters to be way more demanding of my meager gaming abilities. But overall, beautiful game to look at. I poured scorn on it when we first had it. Oh, it's not doing anything PS4 can't do, and that's true. But ramped up on the PS5 with the particle effects and other bits and bobs. it looks great. There's an end scene where you're in a cave and there's some people outside, and I just thought, yeah, that looks great. And overall, AAA game put together, probably not the most enjoyment I've had from a game this year, but certainly up there. Also managed to finish Stray. I had a save game, and I thought, I'm going to go in, start this, clear it up. I literally had saved it 5 minutes from the end.
That's crazy.
I think it's where I am. I've got to go back and finish that. And I looked at how many hours I played, and I thought, I'm probably right near there, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not far away.
And it was a surprise to me. Again, that game's been sat on the hard drive for a while. There's been moments of enjoyment. For some reason, when I went back to it after finish Ragnarok, I just sort of cakewalked through it. It's not a difficult game. I just had no impetus to carry on. I think the story had sort of plateaued prior to that. Your little friend's been arrested and put in jail. You got to bust him out, help some guy escape, and then you're through to the next area. And that's pretty much it at that point. Thoughts on that game? Yeah, I enjoyed it. To be honest, it was nice. It's well put together.
Yeah.
As far as sort of graphics go, its art style certainly lends it to be a little bit more sort of not realistic, but certainly there's moments where the lighting's correct in the room, and it feels absolutely bang on. Now, to get to the next game I've been playing, we need to go back. So bear with me here. So get in the time machine. Boof. It's 2017. WWE 2K17's come out. It's probably the greatest wrestling game of all time. I'm actually going to... It's not, but to be honest... Seb, calm down. felt like I was Steve Jobs getting sacked for the board of Apple there. It's like, you can't be on the show anymore, Joe. I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm done. Okay.
I was just waiting to see on my screen there, Seb has left.
It would have been like Back to the Future too. Just been like, you're fired. Like, oh, yeah. I'm now. So WWE 2K17, it was on the shelf. Bought it, $1.50, something like that, many years ago. And I thought I had a hankling for a career mode in the game. MLB, it's pretty much done. Can't really do much more with that. Don't really want to mess around with my character. I'm hoping that now we're on PS5, we can move him through to 23 and beyond and beyond and beyond. I do like the progression of your character through, which would be great. I'm hoping for that. I just wanted a nice career mode. To me, the career mode in 17, it's presented well. It's done in the show format. To those that know wrestling, obviously, you start off in NXT and then you're on Superstars, low-level show. And yeah, admittedly, it's a bit grindy. To be honest, in my experience of it, I also think it's a bit broken. So if you're looking for a WWE career game, 17 is probably not the place to go unless you want to spend ages, in fact, probably 6 months stuck at rank 10 before you get to rank 9. And I'm doing a number on these guys. But the way it builds, the stories you make in your mind are always better than the ones that the game gives you. Off the back of this and a UCP intermediate meeting last week, Seb's disdain at 17 caused me to rethink my life. Got some vouchers for Christmas, got a discounted deal on PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever it is, the highest tier. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to get this. One of the first things that popped up, WWE 2K17. 2K, not 17. That would be all this money on premium while you get 17. That's not the case. I got 22. Took a solid year for it to download. Did that annoying thing of sports games where it lets you play a one-on-one with about 2 characters. And then it never loaded anyway. So I was like, I'm about done with this. And we've not even started. Went into my career. Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg teaching me how to wrestle. Just let me get to the week in, week out season mode. I'm almost sick to death of the NXT Performance Center. I think I'd rather kill a poodle in a crowded area than have to subject myself to much more of that. So I'm hoping it's not going to be long before all that nonsense at the Performance Center is done and I can go to NXT, SmackDown or Raw. If that's the case and it reflects 17's week in, week out basis with a little bit of grind, I'll be happy. I will be. I don't ask for much. The creativity options on your character straight out the gate are a bit scary. I've ended up going in as what looks like a plague doctor, and I've called myself the Death Doctor. Not very imaginative, And outside, if you're wearing a character uniform like that or a clothing like that, and then backstage, I just went with Joey Default, as I call it. That's what I did in WWE 2K17. Went into career mode, just went yes, put some trousers on the guy. I wanted to call him Joey Default, but Default's not something they felt the need to record, so his name was Joey Danger. Why not? Okay, that's what this guy does. I tried to do the same with this. So when I'm in the performance center, sans my Death Doctor uniform, I'm just this guy with the default character they give you is just this sort of blonde dude with a buzz top. Doesn't really vibe with the whole Death Doctor thing. And the intro I've given him doesn't make him look like he's into death, makes him look like he's into rave music. But there you go. I'm sure it'll all work its way out. That's a storied career of a WWE professional. So there's one thing I would say about PS Premium. It needs someone to go in there and make me feel the need to play some of the older games. There has been no curation. I've said this a million times about these digital fronts.
I've got Premium. The curation is awful on that.
Why
it is shockingly bad.
Exactly. It's just a list of games.
And if you and if you even try and look for anything, nothing is put in sections that should be a section.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? You have to go through every sub menu to try and find something. It's not done well at all. It's not done well at all.
I feel like they've got enough stuff on there to do like a video in the background, the history of PlayStation. Boom, this was a big hit. Boom, this was a big hit. Boom, this was a big hit. Try this, try this, try this. There's the ability, if they're doing the emulation or at least the streaming, and we've said this before on the show, I think we said it about Xbox. Like, why would a young kid play Halo? Boom, here's a firefight right in the middle of the game. Enjoy yourself. You load and immediately go into that section rather than having to trawl through the whole game to get to that bit. At least people who are new to the genre, who are new to the platform, who are new to the game, are getting these little nuggets of why these games are interesting to them. PlayStation, equally as guilty, nothing like that. They've got some bits in the store where it's like January picks or editor's choice or indie classics we think you should look at and other stuff. There is some curation going on.
Yeah.
Why doesn't that extend into their top tier wallet decimating section? I don't know. They need to work on.
It's literally like walking in a game store and someone just walk up to you with 200 games, chuck them on the floor and say, have a look through that lot. There's nothing there.
And the other thing I would say is, and Games Pass, we've talked about Games Pass for this. If you're new to PlayStation, I think it could be a great thing. Okay. But if you've had some experience in gaming alone, you finish most of these suckers. And when you strip out the big titles that you've played, there aren't a lot of crumbs left worth eating. Might be half a prawn on the floor that's been ground into the carpet. Well, I'll lick it, see if it gives me food. If not, there's calorific substance in that. All right, there is. Also,
before we go on, like I want to say though, like I don't recommend Premium as the tier people should check out. I think they should check out the PlayStation Plus Extra tier, which will give you basically everything that the Premium tier does. It sounds like the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 classics, which are kind of bare bones at right now as we speak. So I'm like, the biggest bang for your buck is probably definitely the Extra tier.
Yeah, definitely.
Thing is, I had my wallet out, and it was one of those moments where it was like, with these vouchers, I could live like a king. Let's see what it feels like. And to be honest, underwhelming and disappointing is how I would describe living like a king. Now, obviously, PSVR 2 is round the corner. So guess what got shook up? PSVR 1, baby. Out the box, unwrapped it, delicately set up the millions of wires necessary, stream the camera to the top of the TV, put it on. Do you know what? PSVR 1, yes, it is a little flawed now when you look at it. But let me tell you, I've had some fun. Went back in. I've been playing Resident Evil 7.
Biohazard.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, been enjoying that in VR. To be honest, mate, once you get to a certain point with the VR, my biggest issue with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in VR is that the movement makes you feel sick as a pig.
Really?
Every single time. And you can feel it when you play the actual main game. You feel a little bit slow and behind, and you can't move quickly. It's not tank controls, don't get me wrong, but when you're in VR, it might as well be. You feel so constricted, and you move at a speed that's probably just 5% below the speed you'd be moving in real life, and therefore, oh God. What else have I played on there? Went back and revisited Batman Arkham Asylum. No, Batman VR. I can't remember what it's called now.
VR
Arkham
experience.
VR, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Went through that again. 50 minutes and it was done, but still just as much fun as the first time. Getting to feel like Batman is pretty cool. Obviously, it's teleport locomotion, so that's fine. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, that game surprised me. That game, cartoony, don't get me wrong, but they've got the VR standouts that make it feel good. Good locomotion. Able to ascend and descend in height by climbing. Able to strap things to your chest, your backpack. It's got the hallmarks of a great VR game. The interactivity, you can stick things on your chest, your light, you can change weapons, load them on the side. You've got a knife on your right and a gun on your right and a knife in your left holster. And you can take these things to task. And I managed to get through quite well in that. And then I got a little bit overambitious, didn't I? Just a little bit overambitious. And up until then, one zombie, you grab its hair, which is pretty sick, to be fair. and I don't mean that in it's a cool sick. I mean, it's like a... just churning through bodies in the way that it lets you in such a graphical and visceral manner. Something ain't right about that, I'll be honest. Grabbing a zombie by the hair, bringing it towards you, and then stabbing it through the skull in the most vicious and visceral way possible. It's a good job it is cartoony, because if that was done in, I don't know, Unreal 5, I would be having PTSD nightmares. In fact, when I'm in the queue at the local store, something in me's got to fight me from grabbing the person in front of me, pulling them in front of me, seeing if they're a walker, and it's like, boom! Drop the bodies in the game and they're just done. Never has there been a more visceral way of taking dudes out and females out in these games. Yeah, pretty good. The crafting element of it's exciting. They're gathering all the garbage together. They're doing the jobs. Yeah, I actually felt like that was a good game.
I forgot all about that game. I remember it being released and then never heard no more about that. I forgot all about that.
It was on PS Plus, so you should be in your library.
Yeah, it probably is, yeah.
Yeah, great title, really. Went back and had a little bit of a mess around with Skyrim. After Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, no. Skyrim on VR looks like the PS3 version. And much like Resident Evil 7, there's more locomotion. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. It's Skyrim, don't get me wrong. But the game just looks like a mess. It's a no-go area for me going forward. That's like, VR games have to be a little bit different. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners nails it. No Man's Sky VR, it nails it. I'm really excited. For me, that'll be my PSVR. I'm getting Horizon, don't get me wrong. But the one that I think is going to give me the legs is going to be No Man's Sky on PS5 VR2. I think that's going to be something special. It might just be a quick thrown together thing, but we live in hope, don't we? And I think maybe, started playing Axiom Verge 2 last night as well. That's really good. And I also revisited, I've been on a bit of a Mandalorian binge, so I revisited Jedi Fallen Order as well, just to refresh myself.
Have you played on your VR? Have you played Star Wars Squadrons?
I have. In VR, I wasn't that taken with it, to be honest. I think
I quite enjoyed that.
Good flat screen. Maybe I should give it another go. I don't know. I like it when I've got the Move controllers. I don't like it when I've got a combination of headset and DualShock 4 or 5. It's not the same.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, one would imagine that with me now having finished talking about probably all the games that have made this a hit podcast in 2016, frankly, in 2023, as we are now, some would question whether the relevancy is even on point. But don't worry about that, because we've got some relevancy coming up. Because, in fact, before we go forward, we've got to take 2 steps back. This is where he starts to sweat a little bit, because he's like, I thought this is the Poncies, George, so I haven't actually done any homework, pal. RGT.
Yes.
Hidden Gem. Opal Fruit.
I've done my homework.
Show me a game. Not your root. What's that then? What game of what's your RGT hidden gem, good friend?
Hidden Gem is a PSP game.
Yes!
Also available on the DS, but I played the PSP
Further
version.
proving that this show deserves to be on everyone's rotation in 2023. Hit me up with this PSP game, friend.
This is Puzzle Chronicles. Now, it sounds a bit shovelware, Puzzle Chronicles, but it's actually Konami. It's a Konami game. And it's a RPG puzzle game. So you've got your little RPG elements, you've got your character who you upgrade, and you can go through and do your RPG side of it. It's very light RPG, but it's still RPG. But then when you do your battles, you do it as a like a puzzle game. You know, like your cross stream, like columns and bits and pieces like that.
Like Super Puzzle Fighter or Tetris.
Yeah, along them lines. So you'll move around the map with your little character and your points on the map where you go, and then you'll fight different people, and then the screen changes and you're into your puzzle game. Now, I really enjoyed. I played this all the way through. I really enjoyed this, and that's a great. You know, if you've got a PSP or a DS, which you take around with, it's brilliant because you can jump in, do a couple of battles, out you come again. So easy to pick up and play. The tutorial's a bit long at the start, but once you're into it, it's quite addictive. And it's super cheap. I mean, you can pick this up on the PSP for £2 to £4 easy. You can pick this up for. And it's definitely, if you've got a PSP or a DS, definitely play it. Really enjoyed it.
Show me the box, RGT. Now, that frustrates the living wits out of me because I've seen that on a million store shelves, and I've always looked and gone, shovelware drivel.
Yeah, I done the same. The only reason I originally did buy it is because I saw Konami on and thought, oh, maybe it will be something half decent.
My curiosity didn't pull me down to this publishing logo, nor the developers. Yeah, I stuck my nose in the air and walked off. But you're telling me and the assembled masses this is your hidden gem of the week?
I think I might be wrong. You'll have to put it in community corrections if I am, but I think it might even be on Steam as well. You might be able to pick it up on Steam, but just you might have to check.
Nice that you mentioned community corrections, because there's been a few. Apparently, I didn't mention stuffing for my Christmas dinner, and seemingly that's a crime for which I attest and atone for now. There was something else, probably more gaming relevant. Oh, it got corrected in the corrections. One of us got the Spider-Man 2, 3 label out there. Seb,
yeah,
I was jumping on my sword for you. I was going to take it myself. I was like, that was me.
No, it was me because, like, I think on the last show I mentioned that Spider-Man 3 is coming out this year, and it's not 3, it's 2. In my mind though, I was counting out the games. You know, like we had Spider-Man PS4.
They shouldn't have dressed Miles Morales up as a standalone game in such a big way, should they? If they didn't want us to call it 2, but there you go. Anyone have anything else? Seb, have you got an indie gem for us this week, or is?
Of course.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Rogue Legacy 2 discussion. It is the most underrated indie game probably of 2022. Rogue Legacy, if you didn't know, you get to play as like all the descendants. And each descendant has their own characteristics, so to speak. Like one descendant, in one descendant, he might be a boxer class. Then another descendant, he might be like a lancer. One might be a swordsman. But every descendant has like ailments that they face and that they have to overcome. For example, if you choose like one descendant, he might be colorblind, so the whole screen turns to black and white.
Oh, that's playing. That's a good touch. Yeah, that's nice.
While you're playing at that one, is another descendant might actually be like he might actually feel like he's like a clown, so to speak. So like everything is almost Joker-esque to where they have like these clown accents on the screen.
Oh,
as well.
Brilliant.
And this is like an action platformer. So it's kind of a mixture between like Super Smash Brothers and your classic Mario platformer. But so you're playing, so you're like going around this castle and you're trying to like survive as long as you can because this is a roguelike game. And you're basically trying to beat the six major bosses in this castle all the while while you're trying to like survive and tackle down all the minions along the way. So like each minion gives out their like pieces of gold, and you use that gold to kind of unlock your castle and unlock your build going forward. So even if you don't manage to overcome like one part of the castle, and you're going to die numerous amount of times, like you can set it up to where your descendants like from beyond are always going to have a better chance than you. So it is a really cool twist on the roguelike genre, and a game I think more people should definitely check out.
Yeah, it intrigues me. It's probably one of the standout. That and Jack Move were the standout ones when he came and did the indies we slept on.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, we slept on all of them. But Rogue Legacy 2, excuse me, I'm gunning for that. I think today I'm going to spend some time going through thinking out loud. How's this for an episode? We trawl Games Pass, we trawl PS Premium, and we pick out the titles that you might have slept on there. Because at the end of the day, if you subscribe to these services, they're free to check out. So let's help these people. Based on the current amount of content we've got in the pipeline, we'll get to that episode probably March 2025. So it's all good news for you guys. There's lots to be ready for. Okay, so that was... I'm so excited. The Poncies. We've stored ourselves away. We've had a room full of statisticians. We hired somewhere in the Far East. You can send them data. They trawled through it. Thousands, millions of entries. They calculate it all with a simple formula. What is the best game of 2022? And not only did we do this, we've also asked you, the listeners. So we've got a UCP Community Game of the Year, and we've got the UCP Game of the Year. Now, I've heard on the grapevine that games developers and publishers are literally lying in wait at the bottom of each other's gardens, slitting each other's throats for the chance to put a Poncy on their shelf, to put the UCP Poncy sticker on their game. They talk about Game of the Year edition. They ain't got nothing till they got the Poncy on the front. I'll tell you that now. So it was with really great honor. And what I believe is now, I don't know, it's lost to time. Maybe the third or fourth Poncies. Who even knows at this point? But let's tear in. Seb, leading statistician, you've had the unenviable task of patrolling, perusing, and collaborating on this list. Shall we, without further ado, get stuck in? Now, this game is not a bad game by any stretch of imagination, but which game ended up being, and if it's F1 Manager or a Little Big Workshop, the show's done. Okay? It is one of these, isn't it? The show. Oh, God. Friend. Friend. Let's kick off the Ponces with style. What is the least popular game of 2022 as voted for by ourselves, the show hosts?
Okay, so everyone, we all submitted our votes, and now we have the top 10 list for basically the Poncies. And George, I don't know if you're going to be happy about this, but some games didn't even make the list. So I'm like, yeah. So at number 10, we had a 3-way tie between Sniper Elite 5, Prodeus, and Harvestella. All had 7 points, by the way. So, like, ladies and gentlemen, to calculate the points, we all threw in our top 10 games. Each game, if your number one game was given 10 points and so on and so forth. And that's basically how we got the hierarchy of our point system. So at 10...
Seb.
He's broken. We've broken
I
him.
know how Sniper Elite 5 got here. And the babyface assassin struck again, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. See, he had his game. This was his 4th game on his list, so it was scored 7 points. To put your game on the list, you should have scored it higher on your personal list.
I was trying to be respectful.
Sniper Elite 5 is amazing. It's really good. I think it's underrated.
On premium. It's getting played tonight. Okay,
I
need to get a taste of what is going on. Okay, what was the other one? Proteus,
yeah. This was on my personal list, and I had it.
There's no Nazis in Proteus.
Yeah, I had it at number 4, and I had it as my number 4 as well. So that's how it scored. It's only 7 points. So like. Two games right here. Well, 3 games because Harvestella was only on RGT's list as well. So, and he had it really high on his list, really high. Because I think he had it as his number 4th game on his list. So all of our number 4s ended up at the number 10 spot.
Apart from
yours, yeah.
Little Big Workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that probably illustrates how this is going to go down, which I love personally.
Little Big Workshop was, you gave it your 9th game on your list, so it only got 2 points. So it didn't show up on our Game of the Year list.
Whoops.
So you're the only one that played it, and then you gave it a 9.
Yeah, you put it at your 9th spot, so it only got 2 points, and 2 points just don't cut it on the Game of the Year list.
I don't cut it. Don't cut it. But you know what? It could be like an honorable mention.
We'll give it its flowers in the honorable mention spot. But if we,
flowers, more like a wreath at its gravesite by the time you finish with it. Tombstone pile driven.
Because Sniper 5 for me, that was my silver trophy award.
Oh, okay.
That's how much I love that game.
Well, let's arrive at destination number 9 and find out the carnage that's ensued. I said it great.
So far, this is great. So far.
Yeah. At number 9, we had Stardew Valley with 8 points. Well, but it tied, ladies and gentlemen, with Demon Souls Remake at 8 points as well.
Wow. Okay. So, Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
If I thought I was bad for a game that was 2 years old. Now, let's just clear up as well for the fans who are listening. They're like, oh, hang on a minute, that didn't come out. That's not necessarily the rules. It's the games that we played this year that we enjoyed. That's the separation from us and all those other people, all those non-players, IGN, all that sort of drivel. They don't matter here. Okay, what matters is our list. What matters
Demon
is
Souls was a gold trophy for me. I love that game. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to your point, you had Demon Souls as your 3rd game of the year for you on your 3rd spot, so it got 8 points from you. It was the only game that you were the only one who nominated it on this list, but you nominated it so high that kind of carried it over into that spot right there.
Question.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie, Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
Bloodborne. It's okay to me. What am I going to think to Demon Souls Remake? Am I going to go, OMFG, this is something that I'm absolutely loving right now?
Well, if you're playing Bloodborne, right, and you never played any Souls game, and you're going to go back to Demon Souls, you're going to be not as pleased, I guess, because it's not as fast paced.
That's one thing I liked about Bloodborne.
Right.
And I have played, I've dabbled with some of the Souls games on PS3.
Yeah.
Bloodborne was my first proper swing at it, and I enjoyed the timings and the speed of combat. You're correct. So maybe
if you played a bunch of Souls games, but you didn't play Demon Souls for whatever reason, and you don't want to play the original, and you want to play this, you'll be satisfied. But if you only play Bloodborne, or only play Sekiro, or only Elden Ring and want to go back, yeah, it's going to be quite a different experience for you. I mean, you may like it. It's just not as fast paced, is what I'm saying.
Okay. And Stardew Valley. I mean, is there anything you want to add to that, RGT? Obviously.
It's Stardew Valley. I mean, a lot of people will probably laugh at me for this. Is in my top 5 games of all time. Absolutely love that game.
I'm trying to get Eva on it. I'm trying to get her to try it out.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I had 2 or 3 games I started on the PS4 when I played it. And then I got it. I was on sale. I got it on the Switch and then stuck another 120 hours in a farm on the Switch. I just love the whole setting, music, atmosphere. fantastic. And with one guy made it, work of art, brilliant.
If SnowRunner is higher, Seb's face. If SnowRunner ends up higher on this list than Stardew Valley, I've threatened it once. I'm going to threaten it twice. This show is toast. Okay, just a pre-warning.
Okay.
RGT, just for context for the audience, RGT had Stardew Valley as his number 3 game of the year. So it ended up getting 8 points. Safe. Yeah, from that.
Yeah.
I won't spoil what's to come here, but George, you might be happy with some of the other placements on the list.
I'm happy with all of it. I'm just having a little bit of fun, but know.
Yeah, this is great, bro.
Where's my games?
Because we also don't know.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, so for the audience, I'm the only one who kind of knows it because I was the only one who basically tied up all the statisticians and basically held them hostage for the week and a half that it took to really dive deep into this. And I was just I let them have a piece of toast and some eggs, and I was just carry on. But
I personally think you're overfeeding them.
Oh man, I mean, it was a solid piece of toast though.
Okay, amongst 10, well shared.
And I don't know if you know, but eggs are a premium right now in America.
It is.
Because it is $8 a carton out here in America.
Wow. What's happened to eggs?
I don't know. What a bacon, egg, and cheese used to be $3.50. Now it's $7. For that, I make it at home.
Exactly. Eggs are luxury here in America right now.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what's happening. We've lost all the bees. America's lost all the eggs. I guess chickens just aren't menstruating anymore. That's a concern for everybody, especially the cockerels. Right. Okay. The survival of the chicken race is at stake here. If they're not chucking the eggs out, I suppose they're fine as long as they're unfertilized.
Yeah.
That's probably a tramp stamp for someone out there. Tell me, where did we get to? 7?
The number 8 slot. The number 8 spot is also a tie, a two-way tie between Eastward and MLB 22 at 8 points.
You got a guy, George. You
got one in there, bro.
How do you say that's just mine? I'm an Englishman. Surely you both voted for MLB. Okay. Yes! MLB. What can I say about this game that hasn't been said already? It's probably the most glittering examples of a sports game. It's well presented. It's immaculate. Yes, the graphics could be better on PS5, but I don't care. Okay, we're waiting for the next gen version. This is just a hold off. This is just to let you have something to play on your Switch. Yeah, whatever, losers. Okay,
you know what? not to sidetrack, but what I don't understand is MLB has the legends as well as the newer players.
Yeah,
right. Madden has, well, at least what I remember, has legendary teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you don't need foot or whatever they call it to do anything. NHL has also legendary players you can play on different teams. Why can't FIFA do the same?
Because you have to.
Why can't we just get 90 to 99?
Because
Manchester or whatever Barcelona was.
I think some of history's football / soccer players. Even in real life, they look like a very early PS2 game. Okay, and that's not going to wash. If you get Beardsley on FIFA 24, everyone's going to think that their PS5 is broke. It's not loading the textures properly. Eric Cantona, his face is so angular. He looks like a PS1 loading. I don't know what else you want. The Neville brothers. How are you going to show them separately in the man? I don't know if that's going to. I think people are going to think that the game's broken.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
I want to see Peter Beardsley on FIFA 23.
He's the cover artist. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's brilliant.
The Keegan edition. The Keegan edition.
The big perm.
The big perm. It's just basically perm. Back to MLB. That came when it launched. I jumped on it like a tramp on chips. I got on it. I absorbed every single parsec of that game. I've not been as successful on that as maybe other MLB variants. I ain't got to the World Series yet, but the sliding difficulty meter in MLB 22 presents a challenge, but it also presents a problem. You hit a glass ceiling with your character each time. So you're in a mid-match and you've had a few bad innings, and it's like, okay, it knocks the difficulty down. Oh, great. All of a sudden you feel like a legend again. But then it moves it back up. So the progression doesn't feel as great as it was in other versions of the game. But hey, you want an MLB career? It's going to take you decades, okay, to get the World Series. And that's real life, okay? That's real life. I think I've said all I need to say. It's absolute slayer of a game. Why didn't I put it high on my list?
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Just quickly, any of you guys played Eastwood? Did any of you guys play Eastwood?
I did not get around to Eastwood this year.
I definitely recommend Eastwood. That's another one. It reminds me a bit. It's like an RPG sort of Stardew in a way. Art style is fantastic. Music is phenomenal. It's a great little RPG. Definitely recommend that if anyone.
Is that the one where you live underground in like a diesel punk world? Is that one Mike Rouse was playing?
Yes. That's why I first heard of it when Mike mentioned it, and so I jumped on it and played it. Got it on sale on the Switch and the eStore, and it is a beautiful game. I really recommend that.
I'm gonna jump on it because it's on Game Pass right now as well.
Yeah, it's really, really well made. Great. I love the art style, music, and great little story as well. Great combat. Nice little touches to it. Really good.
All right. So I want to add that Eastwood and both MLB were the respective number 2 games for both RGT and George. So George had MLB 22 as his second game of the year, which is why it's got 9 points, and the Eastward got 9 points from RGT, and that's why they both tied at 9 points at the number 8th spot.
This is oh no.
Here we go.
He's breaking.
Here we go, baby.
Wow. Okay. Some of you other guys should have played MLB. That's all I'm going to say.
I actually played MLB. I actually played MLB, but I don't think, like you said earlier, I don't think this is the step forward for the franchise yet that I was looking for.
No.
So that's what kind of held it back for me a little bit.
Definitely. There's nothing going on in the PS5 version of that couldn't be done on the PS4 version, which probably isn't being done on the Switch to some lesser degree. When we can move forward, the thing is, this happened with the PS3 to PS4. MLB was supported for a long time as a transitionary title. I've got MLB 14 on the PS3, the Vita, and on the PS4. Heck, who knows? This amount of copies is a little excessive at this point. But you know what? I'm getting them all. Take everything. It's got MLB on the front. I want it, and if it's not in Steelbook, you're dead to me. But yeah, I agree. At times, MLB looks great. And then other times it looks like a game lost to time. And, when the grass texture and the clay texture improves, I'm going to be very happy. Right now, it feels like we're playing PS5 players on a PS2 pitch. And that's not going to work. Okay, what's next, Ted? Come on.
Okay, so this one is our first non-tie of the list. It is at number 7. It is Hades.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hades, a fantastic video game. I'm talking about like a Hall of Fame level video game.
It is Hall of Fame.
But crazy enough, Hall of Fame video game only on one person's list, and that would be RGT's. It is his number 1 game of the year.
Yeah.
Last year was pretty high for me. It was an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, Hades is another one. It's a lot of my games are going for art style. I think I played last year. Hades' art style is phenomenal. Combat is perfection, absolute perfection. And then the music.
The music
is beautiful, bro.
You just start and you hear that. That's it. I'm gone. I'm in it. That's it. Oh,
I've heard
love that game.
In emergency rooms, when people flatline now, they just wheel in the music to Hades. People sit up like, what? Yeah. That's how good that music is.
That is phenomenal game.
It doesn't matter where you got on a run or how badly you just got owned or how close you were to the end and you reset.
Yeah.
RGT do the music. You just want to go again, don't you?
Yeah.
Embarrassment or pain you've experienced.
You walk out of that blood pit with your old shoulders down. You're like, right, I'm going further this time. I'm going to do it. Oh, it's brilliant. Loved it. Absolutely
This is
loved it.
like the only game that no matter how close I was to dying or I died, I didn't even complain. I just like, you know what? Let's do it again.
This is the
No
first
problem.
game in probably 20 years that when I did complete my first full run through of it, I jumped off the couch.
Right?
I was, yes, get in, come on. I was, that game, brilliant. My game of the year, without a doubt.
So it was his game of the year, so it ended up with 10 whole points. And that's basically, you carried it into this year because no one else had it on their list because I think a lot of us, had it on our list for last year.
Yeah, exactly.
All that said, before we dive into the next game, though, how excited are y'all for Hades 2 this year?
Oh, I can't wait. When I saw
they
that.
announced it?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Game Awards. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hades 2. Come on.
I don't watch mainstream gamer awards. So I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Good thing, but now I know now. That's amazing.
I mean,
there's
let's
only
be
one
real
game
here.
awards that counts, Bobby.
That's exactly what I
This
was
one
about
right
to
here.
say.
This one right here.
This one right here. But yeah, they announced Hades 2, and as of
wow.
right now, I believe it is officially scheduled for this year unless it gets pushed back. But yeah, it's going to be crazy if this game hits this year.
Yeah, can't wait.
That's amazing. Let's do it.
I wonder if they're going to stick to the same format, if they're going to shake it up a little bit.
I mean, you're already playing with a different protagonist, so it, and it is, basically from the trailer alone, it looks like they're kind of moving everything along in a different way because, like, the female protagonist that you're playing as this time looks like it's more about the not just the gods, but also the I'm missing the Greek terminology, but the Titans, maybe
the Titans, yeah.
It looks like they might be involved in this as well. So I'm not sure on that, but like, I'm so excited for this game.
Yeah, me too. Yep, that's a day one purchase for me.
Wow.
Yeah, easily.
Get the limited run special edition as well, RGT.
Oh, it'll be full works sealed. There'll be a little shelf in honor of it, like me one behind for Uncharted.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll send some petty cash down so you can indulge yourself.
Petty cash.
Yeah, 25 cents left of petty cash. Enjoy it. See it as a contribution.
Okay, no. So before I get hit up with some corrections, it is like, looks like instead of you taking down Hades, you're taking down Kronos.
Okay.
You're taking down Kronos. So I'm like, it looks like Zeus may be captured in this game, and you're to like save some of the gods, you have to take down Kronos.
Wow. A little bit like Hades' take on Spyro.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So the next game on the list, though, is our first game where multiple people gave it nominations. It at number 6 with 3 nominations and a score of 12 is Stray.
Yeah. Stray was really good.
Yeah.
As on point as always. Finished it just in time, didn't I? Yeah, I mean, I'll kick off, really. I've most recently put it down. Stray, I mean, I said it in what you've been playing. The main game, the draw is obviously the cat. It's really well animated. Sometimes, being a cat, doing some of the cat things you can do, like scratching your claws, especially on PS5 with the haptics and stuff. It feels, is cool. The main draw is the relationship between you and your little robot friend, which obviously pays dividends in the end game section. There's some interesting stories in Stray, and graphically it's presented really well. A little cartoony, but they've obviously chosen an art style. This was the game that when PS5's launch lineup or launch window lineup was revealed, Stray was the one that piqued my interest most.
Me too.
Me too.
It presented itself in a very different way in those trailers to what actually played out as the game that you played. But the game that we played was not a bad game, and it was certainly a heartwarming little fellow. To find itself so high up on the list, I think it obviously resonated with. Did it resonate with all of us? Did you vote for this as well, Seb? Somewhere on your list?
No, I was the only one who didn't vote for it. So for context, George had this as his number 5 game, and RGT had it as his number 9 game, and Bobby, I believe, had this as no, wait. RGT had this as his number 7 game, and then Bobby had this as his number 9 game. So I was the only one I was the odd man out, but I liked Stray, but I wasn't in love with it. I think it is the best cat game of all time, but I think there are at least 20 indie games that kind of hit what they were trying to do a little harder. And one of the things you kind of mentioned it earlier is like Stray to me overstays its welcome. I think if Stray would have been a very, very better game, like a much better game, if it was a 5-hour experience and just went for being the smallest and tightest experience it could be. And I feel like it kind of dragged on a little bit towards like its later chapters.
Well, look at me. I save it literally 10 minutes from the end. And maybe if the content had come slimmed down by an hour, when you first play it, it's ravenous. You're really enjoying it. You can't get enough. And then the mid game hits and you get a little bit of a lull with it. And then it sort of builds to the end and then tapers right off. So pacing is an issue in Stray for sure. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, my cats actually reacted to it if I made the meow sounds. But I was getting nervous because they were looking at the TV a little bit too much. Because I didn't want them to jump on top or anything. But I was like, listen, please go away.
Some of the, I don't want to spoil the game, but at the end, obviously, there was a really poignant moment where the cat laid down. And I thought, wow, that was nice. It's a shame I'd waited so long to see that. But at the end of the day, it was certainly heartfelt and it carried its emotions well as well, I thought. Not many games can do that. And considering there was no human-esque characters in the game at all, there was an animal avatar and then a load of robots to interact with. It actually had an awful lot of humanity in it. So fair play to Stray.
Yeah, very solid game overall. But if we're moving on here, we have at our number 5 spot with 2 nominations, Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 7 was voted on by RGT. It was his 5th ranked game of the year, and it was also George's 3rd ranked game of the year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I surprise even myself, but I don't know. What I'll say about Gran Turismo 7 was it was a stunning return to form as far as I'm concerned. I enjoyed sport. I didn't beat on it initially. I enjoyed it what it was. The online game play certainly made it more interesting than just driving against bots. And that kind of paid out in 7 a little bit, but we'll get to that. But once the content was all in for sport, I thought it was a great game. Obviously, when 7 launched, the first thing that gripped me was the music jukebox mode. As it loads, the music in the game is phenomenal. And again, another hark back to the classics. And then the main game, I talked about this on the show with Bobby. It's all presented in like this sort of almost sort of clip art style. You go to a picture of a cafe and talk to some random words on the screen about this, that, and the other, and progression is kind of the same. You back facing AI opponents again when you're playing through the career mode. Not an issue. It's always going to frustrate me starting at the back and fighting through with only a small limit of laps. That's not really how a racing career goes, but you guys, whatever, it's a video game. Chance to qualify would have made things a lot easier at times, but would have made it too easy. You always seem to be, with the way the PP of the cars is organized, you always seem to be on the last lap with, maybe half a lap to go. You're fighting for, there's always the stakes are very, very high the way they've sculpted the game, and that made it interesting to me. Presentation of the cars, escapes mode. It's just a very beautiful piece of gaming software. It's maybe held back a little bit by some of the old stalwarts, but then again, if we didn't have the menus the way they were, if we didn't have the other bits the way they were, we would have rejected this game.
Yeah.
So to have it dressed up as a GT game and presented in the traditional GT style with all the nice to haves of modern gaming, and actually a game that I know this is going to be a little controversial, but a game that sold the DualSense to me probably more than any other. the rumbles, the variations in track in your hands, in the controller, the transition to the bumps, the movement of the vehicle, everything was nailed in that pad for that game. And in fact, yes, it's great with a wheel, but the feeling that you get within the controller actually makes it probably one of the more playable driving games with a controller in recent memory.
Mm. Yeah, I played. I didn't play with a controller. I played with my rig. I played all the way through that with my rig. And as GT Sport was pretty flawless, really, in a rig. If you got a decent wheel, you can feel everything. They nail that. And that's the thing I like about the 7. You had your haptics, which obviously you were saying, George, you played with a controller, and everyone was raving about the haptics and the feeling for the controller. But they've also nailed it with the wheel. They seem to go to that extra mile on the Gran Turismo games. And yeah, you're right. It was the next step for them, but it also had, you had your menu sounds, you had your harping right back to the original. You still knew it was Gran Turismo. Great game, nice polished game. The only thing I didn't try, as obviously with sport, I was always online. I never tried the online in Gran Turismo 7. But whether that's much different to sport, I don't know. But it's the actual career mode itself. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the cafe side of things. I didn't think I was going to like that, but I really enjoyed that, where you sit there and you chat and you go off, do your mission, come back, unlock a car, and they tell you the history of the car and who designed it and where it was fought. I loved all that. It was brilliant. A real sort of car lovers game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It was almost like an interactive encyclopedia of cars, and I don't mean that in a pull down. I'm not saying it's in Encyclopedia Britannica, but certainly there was a good amount of knowledge for car enthusiasts. There's an awful lot of knowledge for people that are on the periphery of such a hobby. And I think obviously the gameplay was stellar, but the presentation that linked it all together was the secret sauce that I think that really pulled that game high up the list for me. GT. Wow. So, Poncies nominee on the next box that you see in the shops. Fair enough.
So the next game on our list with 3 nominations in the number 4 spot with 17 points overall is, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest games of all time. It is The Last of Us Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So for context,
tell me I voted for that on PS3.
So for context, everyone, George had this as his number 4th game on his list. Bobby had this on his list at number 5, and myself, I had this as my number 7th game on my list. So with 3 nominations, it scored really well. Even though this had it was kind of middle of the road on a lot of our list, it was like the placement and the fact that it was on 3 people's list that got it to this placement. But I really want to say, The Last of Us, if you haven't played this before, play it. It is an absolute masterpiece. It is one of the greatest stories ever told in a video game, and really one of the better stories told in all the medium, all the media as well. From books to movies and everything like that. It's a phenomenal story. If you have played this game and it's been a while, this is the best version to play it on. The DualSense really brings this game to life in a way that this game hadn't seen before. The visual aspects of this game, the ray tracing, the shadows, the texture, everything about this, chef's kiss. So I think this is well deserved here.
Agreed.
What I liked about it is I've played the wheels off the PS3 version. And this should have been a game that I knew inside and out. But do you know what? It still surprised me. The AI being different meant they came in a different way. And then playing this and going straight into 2, a far more seamless way of doing it. But actually, Part 1 makes Part 2 look bad. And now I demand a PS5 remake of 2.
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
I want the controversy. Give it to me.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! Now we're gonna have to pay the $70 to get the basic.
I'm not going to pay any less than $150. Let me play into the anti-hype. Come on, give it to me.
Because to be honest, I wasn't really looking at it it's okay, just another remake. But then because I played Part 2 that looked phenomenal, I'm like, well, now let me see how this works, and it just fits into the newer design and style choice, which I thought was just really nice.
Mm.
It's not lost any of its subtleties that made the first one great, but it's certainly added a hell of a lot more nuance, especially to the cutscenes and the facial animations, and just really the environments that you find yourself in. Just although they're lifted, the actual geometry of the areas that you take cover behind and or sneak around are the same. At times feels like a totally different game, and the level of detail in it. The rug moving under your feet. It didn't need to be there. It didn't need to go to that level, but for some reason, they decided they did. So yeah, really good game.
Yeah, to this day, that the part where like you and Ellie are kind of like shuffling in the walls, and like shuffling in the walls, and that infected just grabs you out of the wall and throws you across that room is like one of the like shook up parts, one of the scariest parts in games for me, because like to this day I knew it was coming, but it still just grabbed me, that part in the game. So I'm like, kudos to them, because like I like y'all selves, like I did not think this game was going to like grab me once again, and I was just pulled right in. Like from the get go, it had its hooks in me.
Mm.
Yeah. So at the number 3 spot with 18 points.
Oh my.
Yeah, with 2 nominations, Elden Ring.
Really?
Elden Ring. So for context here, like George did not have this on his list at all.
Filth.
RGT did not have this on his list at all. Bobby had this on his list as the number 1 game, and I had this on my list as the number 3 game for the year. So, with only 2 nominations, but it was kind of like assuring that 2 nominations would get it in. But like the fact that me and Bobby placed it so high on our list is the reason why it's this high on the overall list. So Bobby, what did you love about Elden Ring?
Well, this is my game of the year pick, personally. So just the whole world, the combat, the lore. I really enjoyed the co-op aspect of it, because I basically played the entire game in co-op with my stepfather. And normally I'm the one that's like the leader. I said, okay, we're gonna do this, and this today, because he's limited on time too. But he took control. He was okay. We're gonna do this. I found this new area we should go check out. So it was like he was taking control of it, and then we had a lot of fun with the boss battles, and then we started using blood together. So we call ourselves the Blood Brothers, and then we would just stab each other with the extra blood, and then the 2 of us would jump up and do a little move and just destroy bosses. Was hilarious. And then sometimes that didn't work at all, and we got absolutely wrecked. So we had to try something totally different. But then he was like always trying to respect his character. I'm like, bro, don't respect the character. Okay, just gotta change it up a little bit. If this is not working, that's fine. Don't do a whole nother build. And then he started to get into it, but it was cool to see, because in Demon Souls I took control. So we played that game this year as well. And then we did it together, got the platinum. And now we got the platinum together for Elden Ring. So I just thought everything about it was amazing. Now my boy Marlon jumped on. So now here we go again. We're going to do it with him. And with 3 players, it's even more crazy. But it's just cool, because stuff he's not seeing, we're trying to be quiet about, but we're also excited about, because we know what's going to happen. And then watching Marlon just get absolutely wrecked by a regular bad guy in the beginning. It's just so funny. But no, I just thought this is probably my top 10, top 5 of all time. Wow. I played 230 hours already.
Wow.
It's just the world and everything about it, the creatures, the lore. I just thought it was phenomenal. The music is also excellent.
That's not the sort of game I'd play. It's not, I'm not into the Souls-like games, but I've not heard a bad word about Elden Ring.
Yeah, and if this is
I know that plays it, it's loved.
And if you're not really a Souls type of guy, this isn't even Souls. If you only play Demon Souls, Dark Souls, whatever, this is not like that at all. This is more like, Breath of the Wild meets, I don't know, Ghost of Tsushima, I guess, with the action.
Wow.
It's different. It's not like a typical, wait, parry, or side strife and hit. This is all action. It's very aggressive, which I thought it was a great game.
More aggressive than Bloodborne.
Way more aggressive than Bloodborne because you could sit there and parry all day or block all day, but that's not the purpose of this game. It's more action adventure based.
Mumsy, fetch me the credit card.
So yeah, if you just alone for the experience, if you've never played a Souls game, this is really totally out there. This is like all open world. You're not going to like little regions of areas and taking things down. Like if you're going west and you're getting hammered, maybe try going east, maybe try going south. I mean and nothing's really explained to you. So like you have to explore to find things on your own, which I thought was just amazing.
No, so I think the game you were missing in your comparison, because you said it's like Breath of the Wild meets I don't know, and I think to fill in that blank, I think it's Breath of the Wild meets Dragon's Dogma. For anyone who haven't played Dragon's Dogma, it was Capcom's like open world high fantasy RPG where you kind of like you also had the option of playing it as just a straightforward single player game, and you would take down these big giant bosses and you would methodically try to find their weak points. Or you can also play it as a co-op experience to where you can bring someone in and they would be your kind of like your quote unquote sidekick in the game. And you could both try to take down everything together. To me, like Elden Ring is Dragon's Dogma, but with a firm, soft kind of like paint on it. And for everything Bobby mentioned, like it's absolutely spot on. It is a gorgeous game in a lot of parts. Sometimes it's ugly, but the ugliness sort of adds to that lore and the aesthetic of like that gothic kind of vibe that FromSoft is known for. Elden Ring, there's so much replayability there because there's so many different classes. There's so many different ways to approach a bad guy. Like Bobby and I probably had two different experiences in Elden Ring, primarily because he played, as a co-op experience. And I never invited anyone to play in any session of the game. But like also because like the game lets you it has that unmitigated freedom to do whatever you want at any given time. So like he probably could have went right at the very beginning of the game and I could have went left. And because we went in two different separate directions, like the whole way we played the game, it could have been drastically different because you can approach things at your own leisure. And like you can probably he's probably found things that I never knew was in the game before, because like this game is so deep in the form of it's not just an open world game. It's also a layered game because there are like tunnels and mazes and different things like that like, unless you go looking for them, you might never find in this game. My biggest flaw with Elden Ring, though, before we continue on, is the fact that as a person who likes the traditional way of storytelling, like it was like Bobby said earlier, you have to kind of find the story. This game is not going to handpick you like what the narrative is. A lot of the times you're not going to know what the hell you're doing in this game because there's so many different, like there's so little pieces of lore that you'll find here and there that'll kind of tell you like, oh, this random character that I met, this is his backstory, versus like a Ghost of Tsushima versus like a Ghost of Tsushima or Horizon Forbidden West, where like, hey, this is that character's full story. This is why you should be invested in that character. Help this character out because of this reason, A, B, and C reason. In Elden Ring, you're just like, hey, I just ran across a random toad dude, and now I kind of have to decide whether or not I want to help him out. I have no reason to like trust him. I don't know if he's going to stab me in the back the moment I turn around. Like, I have no context for what's going on here. But I feel like that's for people who like that sort of thing, to where like they like the mystery and the discoverability element of it. That's a pro. But for people like me who kind of like, I want something narrative to like bite my teeth into, help me get invested in these characters, help me to get invested in this world. I feel like the game doesn't quite live up to the narrative side of the things, even though George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, also helped pen this game. So for everything that people say about Elden Ring, they're spot on. It is one of the greatest games of probably this generation so far, but I do have my problems with it.
Okay, well, with the deck swept clean, so let's look to you for the next little bit of uncomfortable listening for me.
All right, so at number 2, with 2 nominations, at 19 points, we have a little game known as Horizon Forbidden West. So
I hate it. No, I don't hate it. I just don't like it at all. What the hell? Okay, fair enough.
I don't get it, George. This was your number one game on your list.
And it's not number one in the list.
This was your number one game. And for context, this was my number 2 game of the year. So I'm like, between the power of like you having it as your number 1 and me having it as my number 2, that's when we were the only 2 who voted for it, though.
What
But because
hell
we had
is wrong with these guys?
because we had it so high, that's why it ended up as the number 2 game overall, though.
For
so
me,
George, what did you
It may
love
be
about
because of
Horizon?
our high influence and recommending this game so high. It might be this year's game of the year. Who knows?
Mm.
let me say Horizon Forbidden West. I was excited for this game. Came out, and it's a slow start, but once it gets going and that world opens up, it's one of the best, most fun experiences I had. I think I managed to crack its spine open in about 3 or 4 days, and that's no detriment to how it's not a small game. It's a big game. That shows you how hard it got me, and it pulled me in really hard, and I loved every element of it. You know, we spoke at length about this. I think Bobby and I, when it launched, I was rabid all over it like a starving dog, and everything that you loved about the first game, this game just ramped it up and more. The story was better. The interaction between the characters was better. Side stories or errands, as Horizon calls them, were presented as well in this game as some games present the main quest storyline. You just felt like it was going on. The story was bigger. It pulled you in. I just felt like they nailed it. The combat was tighter. Everything was just perfect. Everything you wanted from a sequel. But again, so good that I went back and revisited some bits again from the original Horizon, and then also the Frozen Wilds DLC. And to link all that together, absolutely seamless. I personally, for me, this game trumped the others, and I knew it was going to get squashed a little bit. Obviously versus Elden Ring, obviously versus other stuff that we've got coming up, no doubt. It was always going to get a little bit crushed. Launched early in the year and probably washed under some people's radars. But the fidelity of what I saw on the screen, yeah, again, it was a PS4 game, fair enough. But again, on PS5, much as I mentioned in what you've been playing about God of War Ragnarok, it had the extra particulate effects that just lifted it a little bit more. The music was beautiful. Aloy went from a character that really was an aggressive mute at best of times in the first game to become someone that I started off thinking when I played the game, oh, here we go again. You know, what's Aloy going to bore me with this time? But you know what? She didn't. And the subtle facial animations and her thoughts after missions as she sort of her inner dialogue ran, I just thought the whole game was beautiful. The way it's presented, the new creatures, just everything was, to steal a phrase, well, chef's kiss for me. This was my game of the year, and the only reason why I growled and moaned and said I hate it, I don't hate this game at all. I just hate the way that the system has worked against me and pulled this down from the number 1 spot. Because yeah, there were some other big games out this year, but this one lives long in the memory for me.
You know, George, like you know, you mentioned a lot of the great things about Horizon. To play devil's advocate here, and because like Horizon was high on my list as well, but the reason why it wasn't, to me, the game of the year is because it did have a couple of flaws here. Like, I absolutely hated the melee combat in this game, especially like the melee trials that you play in the pits, to where like I felt like the yeah.
Don't get me started on those.
I feel like I feel like those were some of the worst paddings, and I feel like that melee system really needs to be overhauled in wherever they go in the third game.
What frustrated me, if we're going to dwell on that negative, what frustrated me is I finished the whole game. I was master level 50 plus. I could destroy anything and everything, and I was happy with that. I could swoop in on my winged beast, jump down, boom, end its life. Okay, I go to the trials level 50. Hit XX and square, or whatever it was. You've not done it in the right order. You've not done it with the right time. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. I finished the game. What do I need to prove to you? I need to beat this guy with these particular button impresses, but you're not recognizing it because I hit him with the first move, which is the move you told me to hit him with, and he spammed back a little bit. Now, when I press the button again, he's not in contact with my weapon, and therefore I've flawed that part of the training. I should be training you, not you training me, pitmaster, you piece of dirt. This is not how this works out. So yeah, those.
I do think like the melee combats, it needs to be overhauled. And then like to your point, like a counterpoint, like I think the story in the first game comes out swinging. I absolutely comes out swinging, and I feel like it is just like a breakneck, like straightforward finish to the finish line in the first game versus this game. It's almost like a slow cooker, so to speak. You know, you're going to get a good meal out of it in the end, but like you're waiting for like that first 6 hours of the game for the game to truly unveil what exactly you're here doing. Like, why are you in the Forbidden West? I'm like, what's the biggest call of the Forbidden West? And even then, like, you basically get to probably hour 10 of the main campaign before you really see what this campaign is all about. So I do feel like it did have some pacing issues and the melee combat, and then some of the other, like, I wish they would have kind of like went harder with the variety of enemies as well. Like I see like some of the newer enemies, which I probably think there are like 6 or 7 like really new mechanical beasties that you face in the game.
Yeah.
But I really wish they would have kind of amped it up a little bit more. So, but this is my number 2 game of the year. So I really love this game. It's just, I feel like some of those criticisms are why it kind of like slipped off for me personally.
I'll tell you one thing that I thought when I was playing it, when it first started and you get into that first area, you get the impression that the game is going to be radically different to the one it is with the pacing that you start with. And then, as you say, it changes gear and you get a little bit more. But that sort of works in conjunction with the world opening down. I think to make you appreciate it more, they had to pull, because some people may have not played the original game. So they've almost got to do that annoying video game thing of like, here's that character you spent multiple hours with in the first game. Here's a reason why they're now literally skillless again, which obviously doesn't really make sense in a real life story narrative kind of way. You don't just forget everything. So I feel like they dealt with that reasonably well, but then they brought you down. They made that first area small, although it still felt big and overwhelming because Horizon's a big game, no matter how you put it. And each area feels, or sort of geographical region feels big. But once you get to the I can't remember the name of it now. It's been some time, but there's like there's one sort of settlement that's in like a big, almost like a circle, like a dome with loads of these broken, I think they're satellite dishes. Once I got to that section, it really felt then that the world opened up, and then the race to the coast and the race to the flooded buildings was way more, and they were the shots that drew us all in, the beaches and the neon and the buildings. That was the draw, and the way it was timed and paced to get to that bit later in the game, I think worked out. You could have gone anywhere at any point in time and unlocked any area of it at any point in time that you wanted to, but the way the story meted it out, I think was good. There was some civilizations I missed in the first game, or some little areas that I missed in the first game that I really only recently just finished off those last errands in the original. I left nothing on the table bar those melee pits with this one, and I still need to go back and do those melee pits, but I don't know how many times I can press light, heavy before it and it say no for me to wonder whether my hands have been nailed on upside down overnight or whether the game's just being overly harsh. I think that, but yeah, game of the year for me. So if that's what it's putting on your box, do it.
Here's a tip for you for the melee pits. Like, if you want to get the platinum in that, you can still turn that on easy mode, and it's a lot less forgiving. Like, as far as like the timing windows, it's a lot more forgiving. As far as like, if you turn it on easy mode, it becomes an easier thing to do those melee pits, and you've already beaten the rest of the game. If you just need that one trophy for the platinum, you can still do that and pop that platinum trophy.
Do it.
George is going to platinum.
Oh, by the way, the settlement you were thinking of, I think it's Plain Song. Whenever you see like the initial settlement coming up, but
to me, Horizon Forbidden West begins at Plainsong. I understand the reason for all that other stuff. I do. And to me, it's part of its appeal. And it makes that cramped in, almost grey, blandy sort of start of the game, and the desert transition with the song and all that sort of stuff. It makes the very lush green, almost vivid environments of the sequel just pop that much further. And if you'd torn straight into that, some of that magic would have been lost. Some of the journey of discovery would have been taken away. So yeah, I'm all for it. And I played this game like Bobby would play a game. Got to an area, did all the side quests, maxed it out. Got to an area just because I wanted more content, but I also wanted to delay the inevitable ending, which was going to come to me very quickly, like a starving dog. I literally tore its innards out, and yeah.
Here's my last nitpick about the game. It's like, I love the fact that they let us go underwater in this game. Love it. Beautiful underwater environments. I hate the fact that you have no combat underneath water. Like, no, absolutely no way of defending yourself. It's basically a hide and seek mini game against some of the underwater beasties that you're facing off against. But other than that, though, I absolutely adore the environments and the biomes that you explore. I love what they did with Las Vegas in this game and the way they depicted Las Vegas. I
tell you what as well, when you drain that room down.
Oh yeah.
I've talked about this on a previous episode. When I first drained that room down and water was sort of dribbling down because it had just drained, I was like, well, that's a nice feature, but guarantee. And I thought this quite negatively. I thought, guarantee I'll come back a bit later in the game to look at this room. And I guarantee it's still going to be drying out. It's still going to be water pouring down. I've done this now. No worries. You find yourself back in there later on in the game, dry as a bone. And at that point, I was like, we've gone from underwater level to water with surface level water in it and things pouring down as the rooms are draining, and it would take ages. You go back and it's dry because it's in a desert, but it's underground. I was like, whoa, this game is just getting better and better and better, the detail. But that underwater section where you drain down, I think there's an Eiffel Tower in it and some other stuff. So you've just seen that flooded. Oh,
it's really good. And I mentioned this on the Single Player Experience podcast where we interviewed the senior animator for the original Horizon game, and we had him on the show. And he talked about some of the ways that you kind of can see the details and how hard it was to work on the little details of the Horizon universe. And so, like you mentioned before, the way that the world kind of evolves over time is one of the best things about this game, because this feels like a big AAA, high level polished experience, and Definitely. It really shows. And I don't think Horizon gets enough credit because it's always the release date curse of Horizon. It always comes out. There's a Breath of the Wild that comes out in the following weeks, or it comes out and there's always an Elden Ring that comes out within the same month. I think if Horizon Forbidden West came out last year, it would undisputedly be the gaming industry's game of the year. It's just, this year the chips kind of stacked up and, Elden Ring and God of War kind of came out. But this game is magnificent, utterly magnificent.
For me, if you've played games like Assassin's Creed, it just makes Valhalla just look like a large, bloated, stagnant mess, but you're getting just as much content. It's just presented in such a nice way. It's nice to play. It's got all the refinements. So it knows it's a game, but it also respects your time as well. You're collecting things from your inventory, and boom, if you're full, they go to your magic pouch. I know that sounds unbelievable and it's not very realistic and everything like that, but it's a game at the end of the day, set in a scientific world of robot dinosaurs. It's never going to be realistic. So let's just agree it's a game and then make sure you present to me the best experience I can have. And for me, that was that. And that's how that was done, was absolutely beautiful. Some of the Assassin's Creed, they're great open worlds, but, boring at times, very boring. Whereas Horizon Forbidden West never got boring. It always had the little gingerbread trail to pull me through, which I think is in its credit.
I do think there is this is probably the best, I would say, best Ubisoft-like game on the market right now, because Ubisoft is kind of they're known for those Assassin's Creeds, they're known for their Far Cries, the big open world games where they just put a whole lot of stuff on a map and just say, go nuts with all these quests. Horizon Forbidden West does this in the best AAA fashion that I've ever seen in a video game, where all the side quests matter. There's a side quest in this game to where like you're trying to kind of help out a brother and sister duo, and one of the siblings have gotten hurt so bad that the tribes won't accept him back. And that story alone to me is one of the best side quests that I've played in a video game in a very long time, because it felt like a main quest of another game, like a smaller indie game. It felt like it had meaning.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things to its credit. The way they reworked the animation for character interactions in conversation and dialogue meant that even the grubbiest of fetch quests felt really pivotal. And you had an emotional connection with those people as well. As you say, you mentioned the brother and sister. That stuck with me. As soon as you mentioned it, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, no. That's amazing. Okay, so... Hush.
Wait, before we go, number one, you want to do your big disappointment? Is there a disappointing game for you that you played?
Hang on. Yes, we will. But question. I'm nervous about what number one's going to be.
Me too.
Where the hell's TMNT gone?
All right, so let me throw out some honorable mentions here before we go with number one then. Because honorable mentions, at number the 11th spot was officially Cult of the Lamb, which is a game I was the main source of why Cult of the Lamb was on the list, because I had it as my personal number 5 game, but I was the only one who voted for it. TMNT Shredder's Revenge was, I believe, let me do some calculations here and let me text the guys in the basement. Okay, we text the guys in the basement. It was pretty low on the list, all things considering. It was 19 on the list, and the reason.
What was number 20? Little Big Workshop.
F1 Manager got to be.
Little Big Workshop. Little Big Workshop showed up at 26 on the list.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
George, it is because you had it on your list, but you voted it at number 9, and that only gave it 2 points overall.
I can't give it the significance of Horizon Forbidden West, can I? To throw away little indie games. It still hurts.
You were the only one who had it on your list, but TMNT Shredder's Revenge, on the other hand, it was on 2 people's list. It was on Bobby's list in his number 10 spot, and it was on your list at number 7, which, together kind of would have worked out pretty well, except for the fact it didn't score very high because it was so low on both of your lists.
Fair enough. Okay, well, before we hit the number 1, let's get our gaming disappointments out of the way. So I'll kick off. My gaming disappointment of the year last year. I think is going to be Callisto Protocol, to be honest.
Wow.
It looked great. It smelled great. And to be honest, there's a genesis of a good game in there. But to compare it to the original Dead Space, it was a little flagrant, to be honest. And yeah, I need to go back and finish this game. I do. But I started finding it a chore, and I had better things to be doing with my time, unfortunately.
A lot of people have said that.
It looks great. It wants to be Dead Space. I would say stick your PS3 out, Xbox 360 out, and play Dead Space on there. Callisto Protocol, I think there's enough going on in it to make someone very happy with it. But it's just not for me. I'm probably not enough of a bigger boy gamer to really extract the maximum benefit out of that. But it was less, I think I said before, it presents itself in a way as being like a futuristic Souls game, but it's not that at all. It's more like a
Punch-Out space game.
It's the strange fetus of Chronicles of Riddick, and Punch Out Stroke Fight Night. And they had a bizarre looking sci-fi baby, and out came Callisto Protocol. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm not playing it right. And I look to Bobby to dig this out of his Christmas pile and then tell me that it's his game of the year 2023 and that I slept on it and that I'm an idiot. And the reason why I didn't understand it properly was because I'm not really a gamer. And that's something that I would take. I would take that.
I'm right there with your assessment. I do think, though, I kind of give it a little grace in the fact that I do think this is an indie game. So I'm like, I look at this as probably one of the best looking indie games on the market. And it is, even though they've, like, the team behind it has made other games before, this is their first game under their own banner. So I'm like, I feel like for a first swing, it had a lot more misses than it had hits for me personally, but I do look at this game and go like, okay, for your first game, this isn't a bad attempt.
And that's probably something that needs to remember. But when you present a game that looks as well as this and has the marketing budget behind it that it has, is that
It's
an
hard.
excuse? It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Okay, Bobby, your idea, biggest gaming disappointment of the year. Hit us where it hurts.
Gotham Knights.
Hey, man.
I just thought in the beginning it was cool because I'm playing with my brother, so we're doing things. But then it was like, all right, to move the story along, you have to go outside and fight the crime. Thought that was a good idea. And then I really began to realize like this wasn't what the game was supposed to be, because you can unlock all those uniforms just by beating up people and getting pieces from them, and then you can create your uniform, which to me was very like Marvel Avengers like. And I hated that game with a passion. I thought that was just horrible.
For a man that hated it, you've probably put more time into that game than any other human being on planet
Well,
Earth.
I hated it, but I got the platinum for it because you got to finish the game, right? So with my brother, it was fun to play. But then it's like I picked characters, to see what they were. And I really didn't like any of them particularly, but Batgirl was probably my favorite character. So I just picked her. My brother was switching off. It was just getting annoying. Just pick one. But then I realized as we're doing things together, like I went through one mission and then all of a sudden Nightwing had the same experience as Batgirl had, but Nightwing didn't do that, right? Clearly, I didn't play as him. So it's like everything that you did, all the characters experienced. It would have been better if it was just a single experience and then they talked about it. And then all of the compassion to the story and the storytelling was done through emails or voice recordings. It wasn't done on screen. So, and that's optional to read. You don't have to read those if you don't want to, right? So it's like a lot of the heart came from those, which people missed. And then the action, the combat was it was decent, but it wasn't anything special. And then what blew my mind even more was like everything we did in the Gotham Knights, we've already did in Arkham Knight, which was 7 years apart.
But
and
better
Arkham Knight
Knight.
Yeah, and Arkham Knight looks better considering it's 7 years old.
Wow.
They kept the world to look alike. It probably was going to be some kind of multiplayer Arkham universe game, but then something happened, in my opinion, it changed, and we got this game, which to me is just, it could have so much potential and just fell flat in its face big time.
I think to put some more context on this game, like you mentioned Arkham Knight, this was the same team that made Arkham Origins.
Which I loved.
Which, by the way, most people felt like was kind of like quote unquote the off-brand Arkham game, and that game is still better than this game. Like,
100%.
By far. But like you mentioned, Bobby, I think you're right on point there. I think the big problem with this game is not only the mechanical issues, not only like all the like the technical issues that revolve around this game. It's also that this game had no direction. Like it didn't know what it wanted to be, because like it did take some of the moments from like Gotham's, I guess you could say, from the Arkham games, but it also kind of detracted what made those games special. And, pick a lane. Make this a single player experience, or make this like a multiplayer game similar to Marvel's Avengers. Don't try to be in that middle ground to appease to everyone, because if you're in that middle ground, you appease to no one. And
Exactly.
yeah, this is a game that could have, if they wanted to go that Marvel's Avengers route, just go that way, and there was going to be an audience there for it. But instead, they kind of tried to play like in the middle there, and it appeals to very little as a result. I think like if you take some of the good that was in this game, because like some of the combat is fun, some of the story is unique, especially that you do get to play with like the quote unquote Batman sidekicks here. That's a unique thing that we haven't gotten in games where they are the spotlight. But for everything that they do right, they do 10 things wrong. This game, there is no reason why I should play this game and for every 10 minutes I have to go back to my main base just to do a cutscene, and then just to go back out into the world I was previously exploring again to do the same pattern all over again, and have to go back to my main base just to meet up with the people that I'm on the phone with throughout the game anyways.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's just weird. And then even all the big baddies, like from Batman's Rogue Gallery, we've already fought them in previous, I know it's not an Arkham game. I'm just saying we've already faced them in previous Arkham games. He has a bunch of rogue villains. You could have done something a little bit different.
Picture the scene. This team made Origins, obviously the prequel. Imagine if they'd been allowed to make the final chapter of the whole thing, post Batman in City and Night, boom, here's the remnants of what's left. This is you clearing it up, which would have been a great suggestion.
It would have been actually perfect.
Rooting it in the Arkham universe with these characters shrunk right down into a single player game, maybe co-op at best, but the main drive being the single player experience, and maybe the co-op experience is you and a friend in a separate save file carrying over your experience, driving around like the Cape Crusader, living out your superhero fantasies, you and a sidekick, Batman and Robin, Batgirl and Robin, Nightwing and Robin, whatever it is, Doom, boom. But in the single player game, make it in the Arkham universe, because all this preciousness about that, at the end of the day, why? There's 4 games already. Why not make it 5? Why not bookend them nicely with the same studio saying hello and goodbye and wrapping up nicely, and more of a tribute? Instead, we're going to get Kill the Justice League, which has the potential to be an amazing game. But to be honest with you, I think most people with a heartbeat have forgotten that's even coming out.
Well, if they're going the same route, then we're going to have a big problem.
I do think they are kind of going in that same route, because this game is trying to appeal to the multiplayer audience and the single player audience. It doesn't feel like it has a solid direction on what it wants to be gameplay wise. But I will say, though, that is the Rockstar. That's the Rocksteady team, though. I mean, that team has at least had the pedigree of creating the mainline Arkham games. So, I mean, take that for what you will, versus this team that made Gotham Knights. Their only claim to fame was Arkham Origins, so to speak. So I mean, there's a pedigree there that at least we can respect and look at and say they have a history of putting out bangers. Now, whether or not that game will actually be a banger is another conversation, though.
And it might not be their fault, the development team. It could have been after what they were realizing. They told them to change it up. They did the best that they could. I don't really blame them. I just blame the main people who are like, no, this is not. Look at the sales for this game. This isn't working. Let's change it up. And that's how it felt when you play the game. It feels like I'm playing multiple
2 separate games
as one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move things along. RGT, what was your biggest? Seb, was your biggest game disappointment Gotham Knights, or are we going to come back to you as well?
No, I mean, like, Gotham Knights was a huge disappointment. Saints Row was a huge disappointment. Cross X Fire was a huge disappointment. They were all in that same vein of bad games.
Rocks up, wind his window down, and basically snipes just 5 games. Bill. Winds window up.
Bow. Yeah, but Saints Row had all the same same faults as Gotham Knights, so I don't need to harp on it. But yeah, it's Saints Row, Crossfire X, and Gotham Knights are probably the most disappointing AAA experiences that you can play in 2022.
Wow. Okay, and let's wrap this disappointing section up with the most undisappointing man that God has ever created. RGT.
Oh, it's got to be Grid Legends for me.
Of course.
That game. It's not just so much as I'm so glad I did pay full price. I know I've gone over this on a previous podcast. You get, this game was sold as this brilliant story mode with all these actors that and you follow through this story. You don't get many actor scenes, and you get a quarter of the game. You have to buy the other seasons, which is shocking. And not only that, the real disappointment for me is it shows EA have bought Codemasters, and this is it. That's Codemasters gone. I've played Codemasters games from every generation, from my Spectrum in the 80s. They were the team to make games, especially driving games. Once you got through the generations, they nailed driving games. Your Dirt series, they knew how to make the games. EA have purchased them, and they've killed them. That's it. Tombstone in the ground, Codemasters.
Wow.
And this game proves it to me, because that is not a Codemasters game, and then practices, not good. So Grid Legends, very, very disappointed for those reasons.
Okay, well, the decks are cleared.
Yeah.
Everyone's back here in the Methodist Chapel here in Farmerton. They've had a small comfort break. They've been off. They've got themselves a prawn vol au vent or 3. They've got themselves a cup of very weak orange juice, watered down en masse, gallons of the stuff, pipette of juice. Done. That's how squash is done at a UK public event. It's practically water with some food colouring in it. No flavour. Okay, so everyone's got their small plastic cup of that. We've give that free gratis. Obviously, I gave RGT the last bit of budget so we could go buy Hades 2. A 25p contribution. Yeah. There's a small bag of lightly salted. I think they're lightly salted, but I'm not really sure. It's just, I think they're polystyrene packing foam, but someone's wiped cheese finger dust all over them. So I'm giving them away as cheese curls because they've got the same calorific content, if I'm being honest. Okay, everyone's sat down. Their bellies are full, or at least they're not starving. They're having a little sip of that juice. Seb, put some money in the meter. Give it a little bit of a wind up. Slap the sweatshop downstairs viciously with whatever comes close to hand. And tell us all, the assembled thousands, tell us, what is the UCP, now before we get to the communities, what is the UCP game of the year, the big one, the heavy hitter, the Poncies? Who's getting that?
For the millions in attendance, for the thousands around the world, ladies and gentlemen, the official winner of the 2022 Poncies Award with 24 points, 3 nominations, ranking it in our number 1 spot, is officially God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. I'm not disappointed. I'm happy.
So
it was number 2 for me.
Yep.
But that's good.
For context, George had this at his number 6 spot on his list.
I'm not looking around.
Yeah. RGT did not have it on his list. I had this as my number 1 game of the year for 2022. So, but between the three of us, it basically trounced its way to first place, and it was 24 points for God of War. Horizon Forbidden West had 19, Elden Ring had 18, and The Last of Us had 17. And so, the top 4 games were kind of neck and neck until you got to that one spot, and then God of War kind of ran away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bobby, why did you love God of War Ragnarok?
I just really like the whole father-son story of it. I thought it was really interesting from the first game, how it carried over. He's a little bit older now, but he's still like a little teenage rebel. And then Kratos dealing with all he dealt with, and then now trying to really become a better man for his kid rather than just killing everybody. There's a little bit of heart he's gaining through the story. I thought it was really good. The combat was good. The story of like, without giving too much away, like, forgiveness and love and try to be better than what you used to be. I thought that was all great. Graphically, it looked really good. Music was amazing. But even the cutscenes, I thought, wow, they were really well done, and they transitioned from cutscene to action just like last time. Really, really flawless. And just seeing Kratos grow, I think, as a character from when you first started till now was just an achievement on its own. And then I didn't play obviously single player experience, but then me and my stepdad played it kind of at the same time. So we spoke about what we're up to without giving spoilers away. And I just thought it was really, really well done. Phenomenal game. And if this is the end of this franchise, then, a good way to go out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This was my number one game of the list, and I mentioned this on the Single Player Experience podcast, but this was a groundbreaking game to me. I feel like this game reminded me of why I love video games and the themes that they explore. Bobby mentioned some of them earlier, but like the themes that they explore about leaving the world better for the next generation than you previously had it. The things you learn about this game, the fact that, they have more intimate stories as far as like the side stories, because everything in this game has weight to it. Everything matters. They're like the side stories where you're helping out people in the environment, the way that they tell their own personal tales are the tales around like the Norse mythology in the quote unquote canoe or the sled environments. They hit so hard. It's like listening to your favorite podcast. It is one of those things to where like the performances in this game, I don't think anyone would dispute that these are some of the best performances you've ever seen in a video game. They absolutely kill it with that. The music, Bear McCreary, the composer for this, absolutely is magnificent. He's done things such as like he did the Rings of Power, he's done Battlestar Galactica, like he did the score for all these great things. But this is his piece la resistance. Like this is his like crowning moment. If you don't do anything else, if you don't play this game, listen to the soundtrack for this game. It sounds like an epic movie soundtrack. It is one of those things to where like everything about this game is the highest of polish of AAA quality, from the story to the action. And I truly mean this when I say this. I think Kratos right now as a character represents the video game industry. And what I mean by that is because like Kratos, from who he was, from the Greek saga, and the fact that he was very Mortal Kombat-esque, to the fact that, like he really didn't have, he had some substance to him, but he really didn't have a whole lot of substance to him, to where he is now, to where he's this mature character. He's evolved over the years. It's a mirror reflection on the game industry as a whole, and where gaming is right now, to where like where gaming was when Kratos first started and where he was introduced to a character, to the layer of polish that we now have in video games. He is a direct reflection of that as a character. Like, I cannot state this enough. God of War Ragnarok is not just a solid video game. This is a masterpiece. This is a work of art. I think this is a game that for 10 years from now, it's going to get a remastered. It's very similar to The Last of Us. And we're going to look at this and we're going to just say like, wow, we were there when this game originally came out. And I think I don't think this game is getting enough credit for what it's doing in video games right now.
Let me be the alternate voice here, because God of War on the PS2, as you say, was a ballsy, bawdy, bloody mess of a game, and I loved it for it. Now, God of War is very serious, very serious, and everything's ramped up stake-wise in the story. Everything is do or die. Everything is Ragnarok. Everything is very on edge, and there's some strength to that merit. But along the way, I think we lost a little bit of Kratos to get to the character we have now. And sometimes when I'm playing the game, I feel like it's maybe a bit too big at times. Maybe it's a bit too overblown. Maybe the reboot got this game so wrapped up in its own smoke bubble that we kind of lost because I'm not a massive fan, I'll be honest, of Norse mythology. I know people are. Bobby's absolutely huge over it. it's amazing. There's lots of story there. There's lots of scope. Bobby's love for Norse mythology, saw him play through everything Valhalla had to offer and more. Fair play, respect. To me, it's just some electrical hammer guy. I need something else. That's Thor. You can't compare him to Zeus. The Greek mythology for me had so much more meat. I think before all said and done, if they're going to do anything, they need to go back and revisit his first games before we move on from Ragnarok to do something else. Some of those early games, 1 and 2 especially, need a Last of Us Part 1 remaster so people can experience them and enjoy them, because the scale as well was massive. And the scale at times in Ragnarok is massive, but sometimes it's pared right back. We never get one of those moments where you start off with your back to the camera and you walk Kratos up a mountain and watch his little pixelated body get smaller and smaller and smaller as he gets further away. And I think some of that grandiose spectacle and, for want of a better word, pixelated boobs have been forgotten. They've been brushed under. They've been brushed under Kratos's shame rug, never to be spoken of again, because we're now in 2022 and we can't be like that anymore. We can't, do that style of game. We can't do that kind of storytelling. And some would say it's to its credit, but at the same time, some would say that little spark of what made Kratos has been turned into the grey man, which he is now. And that's not to say that the story isn't compelling. It's not to say that it's not heartfelt. It's not to say that it's well told. It's not to say that it's a AAA experience. It is. But have we lost a little bit of a spark of what made that game as good as it was when it launched all the way back in 2005? Maybe.
I'm gonna be real with you though. Like, if we just got more of the same, I think that character would just be Tomb Raider now.
Oh yeah, listen, I completely agree. They had to do something, but they went at it so hard with the brush that the only thing that really remains of Kratos, apart from when we speak about his story and the hardship that he endured, this guy in the prequel and the 3 games went through so much. If you throw in the PSP games as well, Kratos has been through hell.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it shows. It
shows, but sometimes I think we forget a bit of that. And to people that haven't played those games, they've lost a bit of that as well. And I think it's a great game. Of that, there's no doubt. It was in my list. Absolutely, it was. It was a lot lower down because I wanted to give Horizon the mega push. I'm honest. I wanted to give it the mega push because I knew it launched early in the year. It's probably forgotten by some people, and it would get crunched big time, and it did. And therefore, it wasn't the game of the year. This was.
Let me ask you a question, George. Like, would you prefer to have a remaster or a retelling of like the older God of War games, or would you rather go with like a Egyptian God of War mythology with Atreus going forward?
Now, that's one of the things I want to take away from this. My takeaway from the Ragnarok experience was that I actually thought Atreus controlled in a much more pleasing fashion to me, and much more like his father in the PS2 games. He was quick. He was savage. He was able to leap around a little bit more. That's been removed from Kratos' wheelhouse because he's this big lumbering chap now. Would I like to see a Yeah. Do you know what? For the franchise, for the God of War franchise, going back and remaking the PS2 games would be an absolutely killer move. I don't know how it would. Yeah, in the same style. I don't know how that would sit with the PC brigade. Probably not very well the first moment he leaps into bed with them like some ravenous teenager. But there's ways and means around that. I think it's very easy based on the things that we saw in God of War 1 and obviously Ragnarok to see that moving him then, just picking him up and or Atreus. I mean, I see taking Atreus to another myth within the Norse mythology, be it the giants or Egypt, and dropping them in there and calling the game Loki is a great way of creating a brand new character that you can sell and pump totally separate from God of War. And then they could go back and remake 1 and 2, Chains of Olympus, Ascension, whatever it is. That would be amazing. And I think it might be time for for Kratos to have a little bit of a sit down, if I'm being honest. Take a load off.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think a lot of what PlayStation is doing here is that they're doing it. You can tell they're doing it with a lot of franchises. Is that they're moving on to the next generation of like their stories. Because like if you look at The Last of Us, Ellie's the protagonist now versus Joel. If you look at Spider-Man, I have a feeling Miles is probably going to be the lead protagonist going forward. I'm not certain on that, but I have a feeling that's going to be the case. If you look at things like if you look at Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima looks like it could have had the uncle be the lead protagonist of a prequel game, but like they had the his nephew as like the main protagonist of this game. But I feel like they're doing a legacy sort of thing to where like they're leading on with the next character in the franchise and then taking that into a different direction. I would have God of War remastered done by a team like Bluepoint, like, because we don't know what Bluepoint's up to right now, and then have Sony Santa Monica either doing another God of War with Atreus or having them do a new IP completely, because like they've been on God of War so long, it'd be very interesting to see what they would do with a brand new IP going forward.
Agreed. I would like to see that.
I think instead of Egypt, I'd rather them go north or whatever it is, northwest to Ireland and do something, or England with Celtic.
Celtic mythology might be really good.
It's so strange, right? Like you can't pronounce the names because it's not even Latin; it's its own language completely. But just to see that, you don't see too many games. What Suna's Sacrifice, whatever it's called, Senua's something. That's the only Celtic game I can think of, and I thought it was interesting. They should do more, something like that, because I mean that's where they're gonna go, right? That's where they go. They go over there.
So yeah, it would like you mentioned the Hellblade games. Yeah, I do think there is going to be a wave of games that tackle that Celtic mythology, and it would be interesting to see if God of War, how they would approach that mythology, especially considering they can easily tell the story of like the gods or like the giants, so to speak, how they bounced around outside of Norse mythology, and him trying to find their different souls in different different areas that's outside of North.
That was my takeaway on where it was all going to go. Okay, well, congratulations, God of War Ragnarok, a deserved winner, if not my winner, but a deserved winner, as voted for by us, which makes it the UCP Game of the Year, which is why it's got a Poncie. But don't panic, games, because you all thought the confetti had been popped. You all thought that your chance to take home some championship gold had been removed. Well, much like the Hardcore Championship in mid-90s WWE, it can happen anytime, anywhere. And Seb's going to throw it down because, oh yeah, we don't mind fighting amongst the crowd. We went to you and we said on the Discord, now this is why the Discord is a premium place to go, because your voice carries weight. And we put up a poll. The formula devised by the Sweatshop devised a poll that went up for you to vote on the Discord. Now, if you've missed a chance because you're not on the Discord, A, you're not a cool kid, and B, you didn't get the chance to vote. So don't go crying into your cup of tea that your game didn't win, because we're about to unveil the UCP Community Game of the Year. Seb, you're the master statistician back there. You are king of statisticians, sat on a chair of assembled Sweatshop employees that you've literally dragged here and forced to arrange in a chair-like shape for you to sit upon. Right, your power, but your authority over them and your understanding of the numbers they've created. That doesn't mean anything to them. They're just shapes on a screen. But you are the interpreter of said shapes. Are there any honourable mentions before we tear straight into the great big golden gong that is the UCP Community Poncie?
The community really surprised me with this one. I honestly was flabbergasted at like the way the community voted, because Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok were both tied at the number 2 spot for our community. Both of those games were tied at number 2.
Census prevailed. Championship F1 manager.
F1 manager, sadly, I don't think got. I think it got one vote.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
It got one vote. I think it got 1 vote. So unfortunately, it did not prevail.
Guys.
It did not move on to the finals. But alas, like I am flabbergasted, but it is with my esteemed pleasure to award the Community Poncie Award to none other than TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Yes. Do you know what? Actually, that's worked out well. That is a game that deserved way more attention than it got. And it got a lot of attention. But you know what? It was put together immaculately with praise, with a high level of detail to TMNT history across every platform of its history. It looked good. It smelt good. It was a tribute to the cartoons. It was a love letter to 40-year-old man babies like me, who probably should have grown up and moved on many, many years ago. But we still hold on to our toys from our childhood because, do you know what? The 90s was tough. And I have no other explanation as to why TMNT did so well, apart from the fact that underneath the skin, you could have made this Barbie beat 'em up adventures and it would have been kick-ass because it controlled flawlessly. Well done, community.
Yeah.
Boys, what was your take on TMNT Shredder's Revenge?
I like the game a lot. I think the game played really well. I think that this studio has found their niche, so to speak. Like they should just pump out games like this all the time, because like all you really have to do is just throw in some different skins and some different power moves for IPs going forward, and you have like a long lasting franchise studio out of this. Like TMNT is a good game on its own right, but what it really taught me is that this studio should just be pumping out Marvel games right now. Like, can you imagine what this studio could do in the same vein if they made a Fantastic Four game just like this one, or if they made a Avengers game that was just like this one, or X-Men game that is just like this one? They have a license to print cash on their hands, but TMNT was really good. I think the soundtrack of it is probably one of my favorite soundtracks of this year.
Absolutely, I downloaded it. Before we let's swing over to the resident beat 'em up guru. A man who was born and bred with an NES pad in his hand. Some would say it came first, but I would say Bobby Sr. came first, and that's how Bobby Jr. got here. But he was definitely had a NES controller in his hand. Bobby, beat 'em up wise in history, how does this stand amongst such greats as Streets of Rage?
No, it's up there. I thought Streets of Rage was 4 was better, but this is not like far behind at all. I like the co-op aspect of it. I like how it kind of looks like if I just played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Travel in Time and I played this, I'm just following the franchise down. I thought it was really well done. The controls were spot on. I feel like if you made a mistake, it's your fault. I don't think nothing was cheap.
Agreed.
Which is hard to do in a beat 'em up. And it was fast paced enough and the right amount of time where you don't get bored, because beat 'em ups can be very obviously repetitive, but it was just a good pacing all around. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Bobby, I have a follow-up question. Out of the 4 Ninja Turtles and out of the four of us here, which Ninja Turtle are you?
Raphael.
You feel like you're the Raph? Okay.
He is the Raph. Yeah. Okay. Seb, who are you?
I think I'm the Donatello of this group.
Oh,
and you're wearing purple, and I'm wearing red.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the Donatello
That's wild.
of the group.
Okay. What color am I wearing? Green. I'm a turtle. Okay. I guess, am I Michelangelo?
Bro, you're Leonardo, man.
I feel like you're Leonardo.
Oh, no.
You're the leader of this group, bro.
Yeah. I feel like you're Leo.
There's no unofficial controller podcast without George.
Hate to say it, but you're Leo. There's nothing wrong with being Leo.
I like the bow staff. I like the purple aesthetic. I like fiddling with gadgets. Like I don't really see myself.
But you could do all that. You could do all that. That's what he does. You just lead the team, bro, with your heart.
You just lead the team, and then you tell Donatello to do all that.
But that also makes RGT Michelangelo.
I feel like that works.
He said it works. It's the best.
Fine.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like that works.
And if Tom ever comes back on, he's April O'Neil. Don't let Casey Jones, because he's going to be, I'm Coaster Jones, but he isn't. No, he's April O'Neil at best. And that means you've got a soft spot for him, Bobby, and may end up sleeping with him.
Hey.
This is going down a different route now.
Okay, I'm intrigued to know. We knew what won the spot, TMNT. So what was 2 and 3 in the communities list?
At number 2, we had a tie between between Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So a very solid tie. At number 3, which really surprised me, is Gran Turismo 7. People seem to really dig it.
Good game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People seem to dig it. And then, like from there, it kind of trickled down. We had a 2-way tie at the 5th spot between Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, which is, by the way, superb. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. And then for Horizon Forbidden West. Both of those games tied at the number 5th spot. So community really kind of showed out a little bit. I was very proud of the way the community voted. We're going to do polls like this on the show going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, join the Discord, and you can have your voice heard.
Definitely.
At this rate, I checked the stats earlier. We're now officially more popular in Germany than anywhere else. So,
oh wow!
Thank you for that, Germany. I need to brush up on my German. It's not at the highest level. Maybe we can do a German-speaking episode only. That would be. That's going to be a big ask.
Yeah.
But no, you're the co-host on that one, RGT. So you better
I knew that was coming.
Prepare yourself for that. Okay. Well, I think the Poncies went well. But, and thank you to everyone that voted. And thank you to you guys and Seb and his room full of sweatshop employees for crunching the numbers. Quite how we would have done that without, I don't know.
I can finally let them out.
No, don't, because they can start compiling for next year. We're going to have an even bigger list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And next year, I feel we should do Game of the Year, Community Game of the Year, stuff like best graphics, best sound, best score.
Categories.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Next year, we're going to have a budget of at least 52p, so we can double everything that we did.
What award or what are we calling the game category for the Ray Award? Because we're gonna have to give a Ray Award on the show.
Wow. Well, the thing about the Ray Award is it changes for every person that sees it and for every game that gets played. Is somewhere in the world out there, the Ray Award is that award that you, in your mind as a gamer, listen to this show, you immediately award to your favorite game of all time. And then miraculously on the shelf, just for a fleeting moment, appears the Ray Award. Now, we're all safe here, hunkered down, in what we thought was a Methodist chapel. But actually, it's an underground network of video distribution hubs that actually culminates in the cellar in Ray's own stash. I know. Scary. And even in Victorian times, they were intelligent enough to make sure the doors were wide enough and the aisle running down the center of the chapel where everyone is seated was wide enough by the width of a sheet of paper on either side of the wing mirror for a Nissan Bluebird to drive down. One would imagine Ray needs no excuse to tear up the carpet in a very small sect of the Christian church. Here he is. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingrays Boot. What's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriend all this week. These are the new release highlights. Oh, God, Ray, what have you done to me? The week from January 9th, January 15, 2023, listeners, these are out digital, physical, will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but they could be. Calm down, Ray. Stop swinging. It's not a fight. It's a gathering of like-minded people. Could be out, but could be region dependent. Sping stop. Wow, whoa. He's rolled out the car to me today, wearing nothing but a bow tie and a smile. And let me tell you one thing. He's as hung as I thought he would be. I'm not saying any more. I'm not saying any more. Everyone's waiting around in bated breath. I've seen him in an unusual way today, basically wearing the Ray family's finest suit. It's his birthday suit. It's the one he was born in, and he tells me it's the one he's going away in if he can die. I'm intrigued to see what that would look like naked, especially seeing how Seb sees him as this sort of upside down bowling pin of a character. That with no clothes is a scary thought. Seb, reassure everyone that your version of Ray is wearing at least a loincloth.
My version of Ray today is wearing the purplest of pimp suits because Ray felt like he had to show out today. But like my version of Ray, like y'all all heard him before. He's kind of like a pin, I guess a bowling pin type of man, to where like his upper body is like very solid. He's very muscular, but his lower body, little legs, that Ray. So he kind of is very misjointed, but he always wears this like pinstripe pin suit, very similar to, if you've seen the movie The Mask, but a purple version of the Mask suit.
Wow. What, with the big square shoulders?
Mm-hmm. Big square shoulders, the hat and everything. Got a little cane that he likes to distribute violence with.
Okay. I'm wishing now I described him as the Hofmeister Bear, but that's probably a deep cut for people that grew up in 1980s UK. So it's probably not going to go very far. Bobby, how have you seen the Ray today? How's he presenting himself to you?
Just has all the games of the year that we just talked about around his waist and like a Christmas light string.
The curious thing is,
with a little man bun.
Seb locked himself away in a bunker. The old bunker. We sealed it. We put him in there with the sweatshop, so no one could have known. But then Ray comes kicking through the door with the games in a holster. This guy is not messing around. He travels all the time in space. RGT, I shudder at the thought of what you're about to describe, but also my interest is piqued.
I'm seeing him and Wayne dressed as God of War and Son.
Son.
But it's very, very like cheap outfits. So slightly baggy on him. He don't quite fill the Kratos suit up. And he's wearing like old men slip-on shoes.
Like the ones you buy for $1.
Yeah. And Wayne
That's perfect. I would love to see a cheap
Wayne's suit is too small, but he's wearing Crocs.
He's wearing Crocs.
Yeah. But his suit's too small, so it's a bit tight, so you can sort of see his socks peering out the bottom of his suit. Yeah. I suppose it was the game of the year, so they've tried, but...
They've tried. I mean, fair play. They've gone full budget for it. I mean, some of these cheap suits that you go, they don't do you any justice, do they? You have to embellish them.
Yeah, it's a one-size-fit-all, and doesn't
fit. I want to move things along because Ray's standing a little bit too close. And in my vision, there's not much that separates me from the Ray Jules. And to be honest with you, when he swings around reacting to you and reacting to Bobby, I've had the manhood slap me on the leg a couple of times. And it looks like a pepperami to me. It's got some weight to it. Okay, right. Reaching into the boot, I'll pick out Children of Silent Town. It's coming out on the PC, the PS4, the Xbox One series of consoles, and the Switch. Pretty much on everything, apart from Stadia. Comes out on January the 11th. It's Children of Silent Town is a dark adventure game that tells the story of Lucy, a girl growing up in a village deep in a forest inhabited by monsters. People disappearing is nothing uncommon here. This time, Lucy is old enough to investigate on her own. Or so she thinks.
Wah, wah, wah.
Who's taking their life in their hands and diving into the boot next? And don't forget your mummy. That's all I'll say.
Oh, yeah, got to remember mummy. I'll go if you like. Candria, PC, January 11th. Explore a ruined open world of caverns and settlements. Hack and slash your way through missions. Patrol, repair, scavenge. Choose your quests and dialogue, or go fishing, forage mushrooms, and race the clock. The old world is gone. The future is up to you.
Up next, we have Gatewalkers on PC, January 12th. Gatewalkers is a cooperative action RPG game with survivor elements where players travel across different worlds in order to save their own. Explore generated worlds, face hostile inhabitants, face challenges like extreme weather conditions, toxic atmosphere, like at my job, lack of water, and more.
I think that's my mummy, that one. I quite like the sound of that.
That does, to be honest, apart from being Bobby's life simulator, it does sound like one hell of a good game. I can't wait for that to make its way from the PC master race to us mere mortals who own everything. Well, we've got a PC, but it's a 286, so I don't think it's going to run Gatewalkers. Seb, what's next out the pile, friend?
One quick thing, Bobby, you slid that in like a master.
That's what she said.
Okay, so next up on the list, we have One Piece Odyssey for the PC coming out on January the 12th. And then on the 13th, we have it coming out for the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and the PS4. One Piece Odyssey is a RPG project to commemorate One Piece's brand 25th anniversary, which combines classic staples of the JRPG genres with unique elements of the One Piece universe. This game has been lovingly crafted over many years to ensure that fans can truly touch the world of One Piece. And now One Piece Odyssey is ready to set sail. This is a game for all the One Piece fans.
Next up, Terror of Hemosaurus on the Switch, January the 12th. A retro city smash 'em up with satisfying destruction physics. Play as a giant monster, unleashing terror upon mankind in this modern arcade experience with the action turned up to 11.
Then we got Vengeful Guardian.
This is my mummy.
Oh,
is it your mummy?
Not mine. Mine was
Gatewalkers. You're absolutely right, Bobby. By default, this is yours and Seb's mummy as well because you slept. That's the new rule. If you don't pick a mummy, you just have to take the last game instead. Oh yeah! Luckily this week you got away lucky. But tell us all about it.
Vengeful Guardian, Moonrider, out on PC, PS4, and Switch on January the 12th. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is a side-scrolling action platformer that channels the golden age of classic 16-bit action games in a full-throttle quest for revenge. Created to defend the totalitarian state, the Moonrider rejects its programming and now seeks vengeance on its creators. That sounds interesting, that.
You know what? If you like games like that, this looks to be right in the wheelhouse. So it's definitely a mummy. Before we let Ray go, and I obviously let him get clothed on this very cold January day, he's kicked the doors in with his Nissan Bluebird. At least that's how I see it. And he's now stood here in the cold. And let me tell you, it ain't warm. So the Ray family jewels seem to be disappearing like sand in an hourglass. So, it's not going to be around for long. Goodness knows how Wayne Ray got around. It certainly wasn't on a cold day. That's for sure. My Mummy DVD VHS takeaway is going to be the original Transformers starring Shia LaBeouf. Never has there been a greater film ever made. Schindler's List, Spielberg, everyone's cowering. No one can put anything as good as this on film ever again. And I'm taking the cam copy from Ray that his son recorded in 2005 using a Nokia 3310. It's probably close to the 4K version, but not quite. Anyone else taking a Mummy VHS? RGT, what are you taking home?
I'm going to go with Street Hawk, the box set. That's what I'm going with.
Oh.
I'll be real, I've never heard of that one.
You're going to have some fun on YouTube this afternoon, Seth.
Yeah.
Street Hawk. You know, when you ain't got the budget to do a car version of Knight Rider and you've been beat to the quick with the helicopter Airwolf, you start to panic and then think to yourself, it's fine. We'll do a motorbike.
And we'll just cable tie some plastic around it. And then we'll show a digital dial doing 300 miles an hour, but just speed the footage up so everyone else in the background is going really fast as well.
You can't ask for much more than that. Seb, on that high note, what's your VHS Mummy pick?
I'm going to go with one of the underrated superhero movies, and that is Batman Begins. I really enjoy Batman Begins. It's one of the movies I saw over the break again, and Liam Neeson in that movie kills it. I think Christian Bale does some of his finest work in his career in that movie, and I really just love how the way like the origin story that they tell for this specific Batman. So yeah, I definitely gotta give a shout out to Batman Begins.
I first watched that on UMD, that one on my PSP.
Oh really?
Batman, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Anything that you saw it on after that, as far as I'm concerned,
Pales in comparison.
is a downgrade.
Definitely. Yeah.
Bobby, we're waiting on bated breath, you sexy son of a gun. Tell me, what's your mummy pick for VHS this week?
Picked up Fat Man with Mel Gibson.
Oh.
Yeah. I just love this movie. So I just got this. I hope it's Fat Man. Last time I picked up a copy was the wrong, VHS, but that's Stingray for you.
You never know. There's no be kind rewind and make sure the tape goes back in the right box of Ray. You just get what you get.
This ain't Blockbuster, bro.
And it most definitely isn't. I turn around and Ray's gone. The only thing left on the floor is what I assume is ectoplasm. Although,
hey, it could be something else.
Slightly sweeter than I remember ectoplasm tasting, but it's got a salty aftertaste. So I'll let you imagine what that could have been. Now the Ray's gone, the assembled masses are making their way out the Methodist Chapel. It's just us collected here now. Gentlemen, with that all in the bag, I have to ask you what you're hoping to play. Bobby, what are you looking forward to getting your teeth into this gaming week, friend?
I gotta look at things I purchased and for Christmas and just pick one down. I'm probably gonna maybe just do the Callisto Protocol, whatever it's called.
Come back next week. Tell us how amazing it is and how wrong I was.
Only because I'm curious of it. And I just want to get out of the way. And then if I could play it before Eva gets home, because anything horror related, it's like I have to wait for her to go to bed. And I feel like from what I've heard, I'd rather just get this out of the way and see how it is. That's my plan anyway.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. Fingers crossed that it transpires to be everything you wanted it to be. Should have rented it off the Ray, then it could have been Chronicles of Riddick, really. Okay. Anything else, or are you just dedicating to that this week?
Yeah, I guess let's focus on that and see what happens.
Okay. Seb, what are you going to pour your gaming time into this week?
I'm going to play a little indie title that came out like late 2022. Is one I got a code for called The Witch Knight. The Witch Knight, on the Single Player Experience podcast, we have the director of the game coming on to the podcast. We're going to talk intimately about the game. But anyways, it is a Metroidvania game in the same kind of vein as Hollow Knight and SteamWorld Dig. You play as a witch, but it's a bullet hell like shooter game. And yeah, so it is beautiful art style. The gameplay is very tough. It doesn't have a difficulty like setting, so the main difficulty is biting, but it's a fun little title. I'm probably like 6 to 7 hours into it. I feel like I'm getting closer to the end, but it's a very fun game, and I'm probably going to continue to play that right before the main interview that goes on like major podcast distributions this week. But I'm also probably going to play a little game that I probably like. Bobby's convinced me to jump back into Elden Ring. I feel like I committed probably like 60 hours into it, but I never beat Elden Ring. I feel like I'm missing out on, like really what is the end game of Elden Ring, and am I judging it because of like some of the narrative flaws into this game? So I want to see if narratively it picks up towards the end. So I'll probably jump into Elden Ring. Maybe I'll start a new build and start from ground zero, but I'll try Elden Ring all over again.
Nice. Okay. RGT, what are you going to get your canines out and get them into? What are we having?
I've got to finish Harvestella because I'm 90 hours in. I can't get that done just so I can say I'm playing something different. Might get stuck into a bit more retro stuff this week. Picked up loads of stuff over Christmas with Christmas money and bits. Live Alive, want to get onto that after I finish Harvestella. I can't wait to play that. So I'm going to dig into that. And I've got what else have I got? I also got Breath of the Wild on Switch. I've played through it on the Wii U, but I want to play that game again because it's phenomenal. So I might even have another start on Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Well, I've got some WWE 2K22 to play for my sins. I've got some PSVR to rustle around in, and then I'm also going to tear into the PS Plus Premium catalogue and strip that literally asunder. And I might report back on what I find for the better or for the worse this time next week.
I'll do the same thing.
Have you got PS Plus Premium as well?
I do.
Yeah.
Have I used any of it? No, but I should. Yeah, I should look see.
It's what I've
see what
said
I can
all
come
along.
up with.
If you've been in certain ecosystems, like you've probably played a lot of the games that they're going to put on there.
Yeah.
So then what is left? And the same applies to Xbox. And there's a lot of 360 heavy stuff in there, a lot of last gen stuff in there. If you've been with them since the launch of the original console,
I think this is a way to see if you want to purchase the system that you don't have. So Game Pass is great for people who don't have an Xbox.
Yes.
If you've been an Xbox fan your whole life, you've probably played everything. There's no purpose.
Well,
Same thing
I'll
as
counter
PlayStation.
that. I'll counter that because like Xbox, I feel like, to the point of Xbox here, Xbox has put a lot more high quality AAA games day and date on than PlayStation Plus has.
That's
like
true.
For instance, Outriders came out as a day one PlayStation Plus, Xbox, so, like Xbox Game Pass title. I've been playing a little game called High on Life, which is an Xbox exclusive, Game Pass exclusive title right now. And, it's not necessarily the 10 out of 10, but it is a solid experience to jump into.
The opening to that game is cool, by the way. The way it kind of flips, very special. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will counter that and say I don't think they're apples to apples. I think PlayStation Plus still has a lot to catch up with, especially on third-party games to Xbox Game Pass.
Based on my overpass of it, it's got some serious work to do. Even just backfilling some of the holes they've left in their own libraries to begin with. But yeah, the curation needs to be so much better. I mean, if you've and this applies to Games Pass as well. If you've played these games, they need to give you another reason to play it again. They need to get you excited for that moment, for that weapon, that cutscene, that whatever it is that pulls you back into the franchise or to the game in itself. At the moment, PlayStation probably got more work to do.
Because I'm just looking at some of the games recently I played on via Game Pass. Like Game Pass has Vampire Survivors, which is a lot of people's Game of the Year contenders, and PlayStation Premium doesn't have that. Game Pass has Star Wars, the Skywalker saga, the new Lego saga on Game Pass right now. Very solid game. Game Pass has Hello Neighbor 2, Chain Echoes, the ones I was telling you about earlier, High on Life. All of these were day and date, first, originally on Game Pass type of games. Plague Tale Requiem came on Game Pass right now. MLB The Show 2022.
I was going to get to that, Seb. The
Yeah.
sickening thing is, I went on there, and I own it anyway, so it's a bit of a moot point. But let's say I didn't. Sony's own game is nothing but a game trial on Premium. But on Games Pass, all of
Full
it,
game.
full game, free of charge. What's going on there? And probably on that 3 strikes and you're out bombshell delivered to Sony and MLB. I think, unless you guys have any more, I think that's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. I look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, wait, hang on a minute. I see RGT's face. It's one of panic and fear. You made a deal with our partner and you've missed them out again, haven't you? That look, I knew immediately from that look.
That's what I was doing the finger if I need to remember to say. Thanks to Retro Replay, our partnership. Arcade in Norwich. If you're in Norwich, pop in, give them a go.
What was this you were sharing the other day about winning a wristband?
Yeah, they had a little tournament on, or a little competition on Instagram to win a wristband for the day. So go and check them out on there. I think it's still running. But even if you don't do the competition, just pop in. It's £10 for a whole day. All the machines you want to play, consoles you want to play. There's a licensed bar in there. It's in Castle Quarter Shopping Centre in Norwich. If you're anywhere near that area, pop in and tell them the UCP sent you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let me put my teeth back in. Thank you to Retro Replay, because that now is all we have time for this week. Listeners, as always, thank you for your time. Look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. Remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you guys.
Bye.
Peace
out.